Charlie Dimmock,
Boys!
the Rich Brothers, and the Garden Rescue Team have a treat in store.
Too much entertainment.
They have come to the rescue of hundreds of British gardens. Now it's time to look back and pick their favourites.
This looks really cool.
Fabulous.
As they celebrate the very best.
I don't like it. Huh? I love it.
From extraordinary eco-gardens
Thank you so much.
to exotic designs.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Gardens inspired by people
Is this the garden that you dreamed of?
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a thumbs up.
and places.
It's the most beautiful garden I've ever been in.
Therapeutic spaces
Wow.
and the most extraordinary transformations.
It is perfect. Welcome to Garden Rescue.
Top of the plots. David, Harry, what are we chatting about today then?
Today we're going to be chatting about inspiration and where we all get it from.
Yeah, I find that quite difficult at times. I'm glad we've got the contributors that tell us what they want.
Yeah.
One of my favourite bits, though, is that inspiration behind the garden. More often than not, it has got a beautiful story, isn't it?
And I do love, you know, the emotional attachment people have to, like, Nicole in Salford.
Yeah.
She remembers going to a Klein Garden in Germany as a child, which is basically an allotment.
Yeah.
And she's got lots of happy memories. So I remember that garden.
Yeah, similar to an allotment, but with a teeny little difference. I feel like a Klein Garden comes hand in hand with an all-singing, all-dancing shed, doesn't it?
Which you did so well.
Ever so easy to build.
We love all our garden rescues, but this time we're looking at the transformations that draw inspiration from special memories. And our first for Nicole focuses on her happy recollections of her allotment, or Klein Garden, during her childhood in Germany.
We spent a lot of our summers there and, you know, after school, and because we had a stove in there, it was really an all-year-round thing.
These are some old photographs of the Klein Garden in Germany.
And then everybody has one of these amazing sheds, not just tool sheds. They actually do enhance the look of the whole plot that you've got. It would be really lovely to have something that reminds me of those nice times that we had in Germany. Oh, baby, this is it. This is it.
Here we go.
Wow.
Charlie's incredible design for the Klein Garden was exactly what Nicole was dreaming of.
OK, so we have a shed. Now, I know it looks like it's lawn, but it's got a green roof. So we have it as a little summer house. And then we've got a lean-to covered area, which has a pot-belly stove.
The work of making Nicole's dream summer house falls to the landscaping team.
So we've got two sides in.
In Germany, some Kleingarten sheds are plush enough to sleep in. Charlie's simple 6-foot by 6-foot structure wasn't that fancy, but getting the look and feel right was crucial.
I mean, look at it, it's fantastic.
And that includes installing double glazing in all 6 windows.
Right.
And a reinforced roof.
King of the world.
I'm loving this, Lee.
It's getting there, isn't it?
It is. So this is, we've got the waney edge, Douglas fir on this side. So is it a hardwood?
No, softwood.
It's a softwood, but you won't need to treat that really, will you? It lasts a long time.
Yeah, it's been weathered, that has,
Yeah.
for years.
It looks really nice.
The Rich brothers get the job of building the porch. With foundations already dug, Harry pours in quick-drying concrete to secure the posts.
Yeah, very good, that. I'm surprised.
Don't tell me it's there. There.
Well,
Bottom of...
virtually bottom of the pit.
There we are.
So.
Look at that, boys.
It's plumb on the end as well. So.
With the porch in place, Harry and David get to work on the shed's standout feature.
mean, this looks a bit bizarre, doesn't it?
Where's that going?
On the roof. And this garden was inspired by a German Klein Garden. And one thing Charlie really wanted to put into this garden was a living roof. And that's great because the Germans actually pioneered that, and it's just going to look beautiful on top.
But you do need to ensure that that structure of the roof is solid before you start adding on the materials for the living roof.
And Charlie's gone for a high-tech approach so as not to overload it.
Is it basically just trays to capture the moisture. So instead of having this huge tray, which holds water and amounts to a lot of weight, you've just got these little cups that fill up, and it means that this space here is nice and light and airy.
I like your Dalek.
Oh, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? It's so simple, but it's going to make a beautiful little feature up there.
That roof is going to be the finishing touch to the shed. Oh, can't really call it a shed. I think we're going to have to name it. It's
Cabin?
almost like a cabin.
Or like an actual human name.
A human name. It's like a ship, isn't it?
Oh,
so I have to crack a bottle of wine over Prosecco, because I'm just about to plant some grapevines.
Oh!
Right, let's get going.
Lovely. I think we have to go. Do you have to go the other way, H? Oh, no, it'll keep going, will it?
Keep going back. How much further?
Yeah, go on, you got room. There we are. So this is the membrane going down, and this is just to protect the timber underneath. Nice waterproof membrane, and it prevents all this from rotting.
While the brothers get busy lining the shed roof, Charlie's prettifying the patio.
Now, this little area here is a real sun trap. The sun starts off over there in the morning and goes all the way round and sets down over there. So this area here gets boiling hot. So a fantastic spot for some grapevines. So Vitis vinifera, this one's a black sort of fruit on it.
But she's got weightier matters on her mind.
I've got to think of a name for the shed. Everyone put your thinking caps on and think of a good name for the shed.
Bernard?
Bernard? That doesn't look like a Bernard.
Why not? German name, surely.
Oh, it does have to be a German name,
A German name.
Bertha? Heidi? It's a good name, though, Heidi. I like it. I bet you used to love that programme, didn't you? Dancing through the meadows.
Next up for Heidi's shed, the roof's Dalek-like drainage matting, which the brothers are cutting to size.
Strangely satisfying.
The top of the shed is fully lined and ready for the layer of substrate, a lightweight growing medium which retains moisture and provides nutrients for the plants on a living roof.
Yeah!
It's finally time to put the green into the green roof.
It's so dramatic, suddenly being able to roll out the whole mat of sedum. And this living roof is a real benefit to insects, to birds, and it also adds a lot of biodiversity to this garden.
It's not just the wildlife that benefits. Green roofs can help cool the urban environment and improve air quality, as well as being very effective building insulation.
But also something beautiful for Nicole to look down upon from her bedroom window.
For the last few finishing touches, Steve's adding the crossbeams to create the pergola, while Lee is attaching the tin roof to the porch and cutting a hole for the wood burner's stovepipe. With the stove installed, this garden is complete. Charlie has taken a little patch of Salford and given it a touch of Klein Garden grandeur, with her 5-star shed and the garden around it. But will it live up to Nicole's childhood memories?
Would you like to open your eyes?
Oh, my God. Wow.
I think that's a good sign. Lost for
That
words.
is just not my garden. Oh, my goodness me. It's just so sweet as well, isn't it?
I know, it's cute.
Yeah.
I love it. I really love it.
Really, you just feel happy being in it. Yeah. This is definitely going to give the Klein Gardens in Germany a run for the money.
Oh, well, that's nice to know.
Well, I thought Heidi the shed looked
very pretty with the sedum on her roof.
Yeah, she did look fantastic. Not only does it look great, but actually that little bit of extra greenery will go a long way to helping purify the air in the garden.
Yeah.
Now, I've got Ivy with me. Who have you got?
Virginia.
Oh, surprised she likes to draw the man.
She's pretty tall, isn't she?
So we've got Ivy and Virginia Creeper here because these guys are fantastic at helping to purify the air within your garden. Now, all the plants that you have in your garden are going to help a little bit, but because these grow so large, just their pure volume is going to help a lot more.
Lady's mantle is also great. It has quite hairy leaves, which helps to trap the particulates and helps to reduce nitrogen levels within the air.
Now, the heady aromas of Provence provided the inspiration for our next couple, Gemma and Mike from Alton.
Gemma and Mike spent their honeymoon in the south of France, falling so madly in love with the country that they were determined to bring Gallic Vavavoom to their garden in Hampshire.
I think we feel quite inspired by our trip to France and our honeymoon, and the idea of bringing some of that back to our garden with the lavenders would be really, really great.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, here we go.
Wow. Charlie won with a plan that promised to bring the sights and smells of Provence right to their back door.
I have dividing the garden sort of in half. This is a dry riverbed.
Great.
And I was thinking of using different varieties of lavenders so that the lavender will go on for much longer, but also mixing in lots of different plants that generally tend to be very pale, soft blues and purples that flop over the pathway.
Central to Charlie's design is a dry riverbed, evocative of the south of France, complete with 3 bridges. But getting the groundwork done is crucial. The landscaping team start by digging up the garden and laying a layer of rocks and stones to represent the meandering stream. Before Andy gets on with one of the bridges.
Charlie wants a little stepping stone bridge going through the stream, the dry riverbed. So I'm just going to get these big rocks, just playing around with them really, just positioning them in. Hopefully we'll have a little stepping stone bridge later on.
Meanwhile, another very heavy delivery has arrived.
Coming through.
A large slab of rock that will form the second of the bridges.
No, go with it, go with it. Fingers. Lovely. Fantastic, lovely, look at that. It's gorgeous. And then, over here, we've got the wooden one. And this one is going to be quite romantic, rustic timber bridge that we're going to cut up, create a lovely structure for it. Cool, OK. Bolt her in, bolt her in.
And now the bridges are all in place, Charlie can start to barrow in the plants.
Woo, 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 woo. It's a train coming down the track.
Oh, look at this, let's watch this. Oh, not even didn't even budge.
Look at that.
You liking that?
Nice work.
I'm liking it all. I'm loving all the different things.
Yeah.
First plants, though. Look at
Nice.
this.
We like to see.
I think this has got to literally just be the odd plant, as if they've just sort of self-seeded. And I have to say, a lot of the plants that I've got here will. This grass, I actually love it that it's all a bit bashed about and bent. It looks like a grass that's been growing and it's slightly distressed because the riverbed is dry. And then we've got Origeron Garvinskianus, which is fantastic, and it really actually does better being distressed. Trying to grow it in a nice, rich compost, it doesn't really like it. The poorer the soil, the drier, the better and more compact it is, and it will just naturally self-seed around the rocks. Look at that, it's just 2 plants have transformed that bit of hard landscaping.
The dry riverbed may be the centrepiece of their Provence-inspired garden, but Charlie's finding there's already plenty of Gallic touches in Gemma and Mike's garden.
And the wonderful thing is Gemma's got some really lovely bits and bobs that sort of say French farmhouse, things like galvanised watering cans, there's a water bath over there. So by the time we finish the garden, it should look gorgeous, as long as the sun doesn't get to us first.
Harry's turned his attention to planting up Provence-inspired pots for the patio, starting with the romantic job of drilling drainage holes.
There we are. And in this first pot, I'm going to be planting it up with a little bit of thyme and some lavender. And as you can see, that combination is just gorgeous. And it really is very reminiscent of a Mediterranean scheme. They're very soft colours, but their aroma is going to be beautiful on this patio. So these two are going to go in here. And I've got some potting up compost, but I'm also going to put some of this stone in the bottom. And that's because lavender and thyme don't like really rich soil. They actually love a poor soil. And you can kind of tell because, you know, they're very Mediterranean plants. So in turn, that soil tends to be a lot drier and not as rich. A nice little mix up. And what I love about the thyme and the lavender is that as they grow, they're just going to kind of slightly cascade over the pot itself. So it's going to make it very kind of informal. And I think in a French garden, it's all about informality. So I do love this combination.
Evergreen, fragrant and loved by bees, lavender is the one plant that Provence is famous for. So Charlie is determined to go all out to recreate a south of France feel.
Lavenders, they come in whites, they come in the traditional purpley blue. Then you've got what we call the French lavender, which is much more flouncy. And then I'm going to mix in some catmint as well, because it's sort of that whole effect of tumbling over onto the pathway. And so when you brush by it, you get that waft of lavender scent.
Charlie?
Yeah?
What's this plant?
Catmint, Nepeta. It's lovely because it flops, but cats love it. It either makes the cats go bonkers and they run around the garden and have a frisky 5 minutes, or my cat, she literally rolls and lays in it and goes, ugh.
So we're just going to wait 5 minutes and see what happens to Andy.
As well as the catmint and fragrant lavender, the beds are filled with beautiful roses. Et voila! The long, dull patch of grass has been transformed into a little piece of rural Provence. By Charlie's planting, her evocative dry riverbed, and a handful of the garden's original Gallic touches.
Do you want to open your eyes?
Wow.
Oh, my word.
That's incredible.
Oh, my.
It looks like something that you see in a magazine. It's perfect. And I can't wait to enjoy it.
You don't have to transform your whole garden to create a feeling or a theme to it. By using plants, you can evoke lots of different images. I mean, lavender straight away, when you see it in bloom, just takes you straight to France and the countryside. And the great thing about a lot of plants, and especially lavender, is it's really easy to propagate and you get lots and lots of plants for free. Look for side shoots, not the ones that are flowering, but the side shoots. And you want to take the material first thing in the morning when the plant's full of moisture. So I'm just going to take some big side branches off that I can take cuttings of. And these are going to be called semi-ripe cuttings. You can also do softwood, but these ones are going to be semi-ripe. Right, so when it comes to cuttings, basically any cuttings, you want to make sure that the compost that you're putting them into is quite free draining. So either add some grit, I'm using vermiculite, or you can use perlite. Just about 50-50, mix it together. I'm using a plastic pot because that holds on to a lot more moisture and you don't want your cuttings to dry out while they're trying to root. Firm it down slightly. Now, so choose nice, healthy cutting material. And you want to strip the lower leaves The cuttings need to be about 3 to 4 inches long, ideally. And in a pot, you're going to get about 5 or 6 cuttings in each pot. Make a hole and put that a couple of inches into the soil, firm it in. With semi-ripe cuttings, they'll take 4 to 6 weeks to root properly. Keep them watered well, but not sopping wet. And one of the best ways to do that, to stop them from drying out, is to put a cover on them. And let those drain well. So this keeps the moisture in. You want to check them weekly to make sure there's no dead bits of foliage on them and that they're still nice and moist. And you want to place them somewhere that's bright but not in full sun, because otherwise it will cook the cuttings and you don't want that. And from this quiet little corner to somewhere very different, Richard and Darren from Solihull wanted to evoke that feeling of that city that never sleeps.
Our next top of the plot's inspirational garden was for Richard and Darren, who tied the knot a couple of years ago in New York, and whilst on that romantic trip, took in the sights, one of which made a lasting impression. The Highline is a 1.5-mile-long public park, elevated above the streets on Manhattan's west side. It has a contemporary design with informal planting inspired by the self-seeded landscape that grew on the elevated train tracks during the 25 years it sat unused.
What we really appreciated was the fact that it was with the abandoned kind of railway tracks and all the grasses were growing out of it. It was very kind of rural, but also very beautifully maintained, and it was just really, really attractive and quite quirky, and that's something that we quite like to have.
This is what I've done for you.
Arit won the pitch with her take on New York's Highline vibe.
This garden gives you a journey through space, taking you through planting. What I've done here is actually bring in some sleepers and some little girders. So again, there'll be planting within this. And if you remember when you walked along the Highline, you had those little pockets, didn't you, of planting that was within the railway track area.
Arit's Big Apple can't possibly come to fruition without the hard work of the landscaping team, who get the ball rolling by removing turf, bricks and paving, before laying a brand new patio with a chic urban feel.
I've chosen porcelain tiles in the garden for a number of reasons. First reason is it is incredibly hard wearing. And the other thing with porcelain is that you can get a whole different set of finishes on it. What I've done is to go for a wood finish. The Highline was made of concrete slabs, but I wanted to give it a bit of a twist. Give it the same grey urban feel, but give it a uniqueness for Richard and Darren.
And because New York's Highline is built on an old train track, Arit wanted to bring a railway feel to the flower beds.
In New York, what they've actually got is still got lots of the track left, and they've planted into it, brought in all of these concrete pavers that go alongside it, and that's why we're emulating it here. I thought it's important to bring a bit of that track to Solihull. So here's the bed where they will be. It does need a little bit of work. We're going to get some of this soil moved off and put into the beds at the top there so I can get some more planting going on in that area. I've got Andy out the front, cutting the sleepers to size, and get them laid out and start to intersperse the planting as if the sleepers have been here forever. Now, it's really important that if you are going to use sleepers in the garden, that you do get them untreated. You don't want creosotes, bitumens, anything, any chemical to be leaching into the soil because it could actually damage the plants. What I love about these is that they've still got that gnarly effect on them, still got bolt holes that are coming in them, so they're very, very authentic. These were about £38 for a 2.6 metre length, so not the cheapest out there, but I thought it was worth getting quality for this garden. I want it to last and I want it to look authentic. Here they come.
Just say about there.
Yeah. It's not a literal rail track, OK? So I didn't want all the lines to be going totally parallel from the house because it's going to look a bit too staged. You've got to play around with it. So I'm playing with perspective. By the time the sleepers get sunk, it's going to feel more real, get the plants in, so be playful.
Once she's happy with the position, Arit can dig the sleepers into the soil so that they stay put.
Voila. Can I have a bit of help?
Oh, yeah. You saved me.
Oh, I saved you. Oh,
Kind
that's
of.
cool.
Well, I don't know
Right,
yet.
you grab that end.
Yeah. Ready?
Ready? You do that?
Yeah.
They're a bit heavy, aren't they?
They are.
Perfect.
They're lovely, don't they?
I know, they're great, aren't they? They ain't cheap.
No, I bet they're not.
£500.
Lovely, but you can't have a Highline garden without one, can you?
Highline Garden, high prices. Next one, please.
Next one.
Oh, I'm glad you had your breakfast today. My love, that's
Lovely.
all I needed.
Nice.
Needed your brawn.
Oh, yeah. Still got some left from today.
I'll work out the rest.
Yeah.
Cheers.
To top off the New York theme, Arit drew inspiration from the city's most famous resident.
Just doing a rough outline of the Statue of Liberty. If I were in New York, sat on top of a fabulous penthouse suite, I would see that iconic outline, and that's what I'm trying to create in the garden. So my idea is cut them out with a jigsaw and then get them attached to this piece of steel.
Along with the world-famous statue, Arit cuts out silhouettes of the city's skyscrapers to create a New York skyline at the back of the garden. And with the final pieces falling into place,
it's looking really good.
Darren and Richard's backyard is transformed from a plain West Midlands garden to a vibrant Manhattan-inspired outdoor space with sleek modern paving and a planted-up railway track.
1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Wow, thank you so much. Oh, that's an absolute pleasure. The big question, is this the garden that you dreamed of?
I think it is.
Absolutely.
I think it is. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. And there's no lawn to mow, so...
Arit's garden really captured the scale of her inspiration in quite a modest-sized garden in Solihull. But if you don't actually have a garden and you live in the middle of the metropolis and maybe your only planting opportunities is a windowsill, well then, a small planting box is perfect for you. And I'm going to show you a nice trick for packing in a lot of plants into a very small space. So the plant I'm going to be using is sedums. The reason we're using this is because they're shallow rooting and they don't mind being bunched really closely together. And that's why they're perfectly suited to being put into this small window box here. So these guys don't like sitting in moisture at all. They love free draining soil. So that's why it's important to put a really good layer of drainage stone in the bottom. That's a good layer. It's a really good idea to actually break up the soil, either with some gardening grit or vermiculite. A load of funky shapes, some real zesty colours. Don't think I can go wrong. That little guy's a bit taller, so he can go at the back. He's gonna look pretty cool, I think, just hanging over the edge, by there. And what's so great about sedums is that once they've established, they require little to no watering at all. So it means you can look out your window and have a gorgeous display all year round. There we are. Fill in the gaps. People travel all over the world to look for inspiration for their gardens. And one of our favourites was with Andy and Danielle down in Devon, because they wanted a little touch of Morocco.
After a memorable break in North Africa, Andy and Danielle wanted to bring Marrakesh to their back garden.
That sort of Moroccan style, the colour, the tiles, the glass, that's what we would love for the garden. You know, we've got a bit of a Moroccan influence inside the house as well. So if that could translate to the garden, it should all flow really nicely.
The Rich Brothers plan, mixing old and new to create the exotic feel the couple wanted, won out on the day.
So what we've done is we've given you quite a modern design, somewhere with quite strong architectural lines, but overall with a kind of more of a feeling of a rustic Moroccan garden.
Dreaming up a sunken patio in the couple's dilapidated garden may have helped the boys clinch the pitch.
Yeah.
But the landscape team have to put in hard graft of excavating the space before the Rich Brothers' Moroccan vision can be realised.
It's nice not having a digger on site, isn't it? Yeah.
With the patio area dug out, foundations are laid and the walls are built and rendered. And then it's time for David and Harry to add the finishing rustic touch, Moroccan-style tiles.
Now, we finished scoring our level line all around the base of the wall, so that's where we know the top of the tile is going to meet to. But what we want to do, because there's a little bit of a gap, what we're making is this shelf at the bottom. So we're putting a shelf of cement there, and that means that the tile's going to have a little foot to rest on. So when we put it on the wall, it's not going to start to slide down and lose that nice crisp top level. And it's literally a matter of starting in one corner and then just working our way around.
With the Moroccan-themed tiles on the walls, it's time to bring in the feature tree for the new patio.
Yeah, let's cut it, have a look at what it looks like, and then we'll position it. OK, we're going to position it right by here. So it's going to arch over that way, over this planting bed. This will be a lovely backdrop to it, but it's not going to impede on this area too much at all. So there'll be plenty of space here. The actual branches will be shifting away, so it won't be shading any of this out.
For added rustic charm, the brothers include a low dry stone wall in their plans. And Joe gets the job of bringing it to life.
Well, Joe, I've got to say, in my mind's eye, I was hoping for a wall exactly like that.
Exactly
that is
like
rustic, characterful, perfect.
Brilliant. Glad you're pleased, Harry.
Harry.
Every rock has its place, like people in life.
Oh, philosophical.
Oh.
With the rendering nearly finished and the hole dug, the centrepiece can finally be put in place.
I think we've dug it all. Oh,
there he is. Lovely.
Elaeagnus is a shrub more commonly known or more commonly used as a hedging shrub or as an evergreen filler shrub. But you can see when it's left to grow a bit more naturally, it has this lovely open branching structure. Now this one is Elaeagnus umbellata. That's Japanese silverberry. It has lots of silvery interest. So when the leaves first emerge, they're a silver, but they mature to this green. And then in spring, we have these kind of quite dusty, silvery yellow flowers, and they're scented. So within this space, when it warms up and they're sitting around it, it's really going to infuse the air, so that'll be really beautiful. Then later on in the season, it has an orange berry, and that's edible as well. And then, as it's deciduous, it has a tiny change of colour but drops its leaves. But this guy doesn't have much autumn colour. But that's not why he's here. He's here for his shape and also that silvery tone. So for all those reasons, it's the perfect shrub. And it does dominate the space, but that's perfect because it almost offers up different areas around the seating area that you can sit. So you've got that area there, much more open, but by opening up this area here, you've got this gorgeous place just to sit on the wall, underneath the dapple canopy, maybe even read a book.
And every plant has its role to play in the brothers' Moroccan-themed garden. And Harry set his heart on a bloom that's as popular in Morocco as it is in the UK.
Roses are strongly associated with Morocco because they grow plenty of them for their rose oil. So we thought it'd be very fitting to put a couple into this garden. And the one that we've chosen is actually Francis E. Leicester, which I got here. And we've chosen this because it's a rambler. It's got this gorgeous kind of white, pink blush flower, and it's also got a beautiful scent and lovely small orange hips. And I'm going to position it behind this wall, and that's because I want it to kind of cascade over it, soften it, and it almost connects the wall with the planting behind. So it's a lovely trick. Although it doesn't look a lot now, in a couple of years, it's going to be beautiful and be a real showpiece.
The bound gravel is added to the new seating area. The flower beds are filled up, pots planted, and the garden dressed with Moorish touches. This Moroccan oasis is complete and ready for its grand unveiling. Andy and Danielle's garden was overgrown and unloved, with a poor excuse for a patio and little else. But now, with its exotic planting and simple architectural features, the team turned an unnoticed and unloved space into a beautiful oasis bursting with Moroccan charm.
Open your eyes.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Not too kitsch though. It's not too like, oh, this is what we're trying to do, Morocco. It's quite laid back.
Oh, nice. Table works well.
The Moroccan way, guys. Come on.
Exactly.
You know?
Now, I've taken inspiration for this pot from our Moroccan garden. Now, all I've done, the pot itself, when I bought it, was a basic terracotta pot with a blue glazed rim, which is very Moroccan, that vivid blue colour. And then I painted the side here with just an emulsion paint. You can buy the little tubs that are tester ones, a very cheap way of doing it. So nice and bright, and then I've just blinged it up a bit. I'm sure the boys will think it's a bit over the top, but I love over the top. So that cordeline's going to go in there and got a fountain of foliage. Lovely. Now, one of our best inspirational gardens was for Alex and Rachel, who wanted their garden to be inspired by the lost gardens of Helligan in Cornwall.
Our final top of the plots was located just outside Nottingham. But the inspiration for this garden comes from 300 miles away in the West Country.
So we went on a trip to Cornwall and we discovered the lost gardens of Helligan, which was pretty awesome. It would be nice to have that exotic feel, so if we could have some palms and...
Some big dramatic plants.
Yes.
The couple weren't afraid to think big for the small plot.
Alex.
Hello.
Rachel.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
And Charlie's tropical take on the garden was music to their family's ears.
You were after an uber modern garden with a jungle vibe. So tree ferns, fatsias, phormiums, but with the odd shot of colour running through it.
With Charlie's plan getting the thumbs up, the landscaping crew get cracking.
Is it worth marking out where the lawn's going? So when the turf cutter comes, we can just nip it off?
Yeah.
They clear the turf.
If in doubt, gruff it out.
And lay a new patio by the house.
First jungly plants coming through.
And then it's Charlie's time to shine with her riot of tropical plants, including everything from banana to ferns and a set of elegant bamboo plants.
Oh, so we're making a hedge of smaller bamboos here, but then I want that big black bamboo, I think will look great over there. So by just clearing the lower section of this bamboo, you suddenly make it look like you can see the canes really easily. And by exposing the cane to the light, they'll actually go darker and you'll get the blackness developing on them.
While Charlie and the team soldier on with the planting, the jungle theme seems to send the Rich brothers, well, a bit bonkers.
It's not often that Welsh explorers get to move outside of their normal habitat, the Shire. But on this one instance, this explorer delves deep into the unknown jungle to find what they think is an extinct creature, known for its long, dangly arms and flowing locks, often found eating a banana amongst the large foliage. Ah! And there it is.
That idiot thinks I'm an animal.
Charlie's putting in the legwork, and the planting areas are slowly taking shape. And now it's time to bring in the big boys.
Oh, my.
Is mine in the house? Yeah. Just a little bit. Where are these going, do you know?
Yeah. So the tree ferns there, the Phoenix canariensis over there, Fatsia there. Oh, Cordeline's not sure yet, but definitely in here, probably a Phormium. What do we think outside the back door there? There.
As the rest of the team get the plants into place, Harry's creating a miniature jungle pathway for Alex and Rachel's little boy.
Me and Gruff are actually making a boardwalk through this space. It's almost like a little balance beam for little Rex. It's lovely to have that sense of exploration and adventure in the garden, especially when there's a jungle theme. So we're going to put some posts in, put a little balancing beam in, and a nice little rope handrail. So it's going to be really exciting.
Cheap and easy to make, the materials for the 6-foot-long boardwalk cost about £30.
It's looking really fun. I'm kind of jealous that Rex is going to get a chance to run on down there through the bamboo. But all I'm doing now is I'm putting in some rounded posts, and we're going to put a little hole through there and put some rope through. So it's a nice little safety element to this, but also it's going to look really cool.
With the large tropical plants in position, Charlie gets on with filling up the flower beds with jungle-inspired greenery.
Got several different bananas in the garden. This one is Abyssinian banana or Ethiopian banana, and I love it because of the sort of red rib of the leaf stem coming up round it, and I like the way the bananas have this big fat base to them. They do look absolutely glorious. I have to say, I'm really pleased with all the different foliage effects that we've got going on.
In most parts of the UK, banana plants like this will need to be wrapped up in fleece in autumn to protect them from frost. And that is not the only delicate plant going in. Charlie has also chosen the very banana-like canna lily.
So it does look like a banana plant because the leaves mimic the banana leaves, and that's why I've chose them. But I love the contrast of the dark purple green against the light green of the bananas we've got there.
In total, Charlie spent a cool £1,300 on plants. And as the last of the exotic plants go in, the garden is ready. This once boring patch of lawn has been transformed into a jungle paradise, inspired by Alex and Rachel's trip to the lost gardens of Helligan.
Do you want to open your eyes?
Wow! Houses!
Oh my goodness!
Amazing.
Oh my goodness! Oh, it's amazing! I can't believe it, Charlie.
Is there enough plants in here that you like? Don't cry, because you make me cry.
It's like a little jungle, isn't it? It's like incredible.
He loves doing balance beams.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like he's going to be lost in there, isn't he?
Whoa. Charlie, few tears there?
They were such a lovely couple, and the garden turned out well, I have to say.
Yeah.
Even with all your monkeying around.
Well, it goes to show that you can almost take inspiration from anywhere.
And with a little bit of know-how, take that inspiration and not only make special gardens, but also very unique ones.
Well, we do hope you've enjoyed looking back at some of our most inspirational gardens.
See you again for some more Top of the Plots.
Charlie Dimmock,
Boys!
the Rich Brothers, and the Garden Rescue Team have a treat in store.
Too much entertainment.
They have come to the rescue of hundreds of British gardens. Now it's time to look back and pick their favourites.
This looks really cool.
Fabulous.
As they celebrate the very best.
I don't like it.
Huh?
I love it.
From extraordinary eco-gardens
Thank you so much.
to exotic designs.
Oh my gosh, no way!
Gardens inspired by people.
Is this the garden that you dreamed of?
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a thumbs up.
And places.
It's the most beautiful garden I've ever been in.
Therapeutic spaces.
Wow.
And the most extraordinary transformations.
Whoa. It is perfect.
Yeah, come on. Welcome to Garden Rescue.
Top of the plots. gardens are we looking at today then, boys?
So we're going to be taking a look back at some of the gardens that did their bit for the planet. Some of our favourite eco-friendly gardens.
And we've done our fair share of them over the years. If we're upcycling materials, using plants or, you know, putting a water feature into the garden just to help the wildlife.
Do you remember Sue in Andover and she wanted a hedgehog-friendly garden for her rescued hedgehogs?
I remember it well.
All our garden rescues have been amazing, but our first eco-friendly garden was for Sue. The priority was ensuring that the local hedgehogs would feel at home in her garden, so Charlie's design included a raised boardwalk to provide the animals with plenty of shelter.
So I have basically given you a walkway, and this is our tunnel, which will allow your hedgehogs to come up through here and into this colourful planting and be able to get a drink from the pond down there.
The team waste no time getting to work on the boardwalk, and it's for such a good cause, because the UK hedgehog population has decreased by up to 50% in the last 20 years. So Charlie's design also features a hedgehog hotel, which David gets straight to work on.
But there's actually a few fundamental things you need to think about when creating a hedgehog home, and one of them is size. So you don't want a box that's too small. So minimum, you want about 30 centimetres by 40 centimetres. And then height as well, you probably want about 30 centimetres as well. So that's why we're going to use legs to raise this one up. And all we're going to do is we're just going to screw it in. Perfect. So now we've got the legs on there. That now is a hedgehog hotel at the right height.
Harry's also making great progress with the decking.
Charlie's gone with Blau hardwood decking, and that's more durable and therefore requires less maintenance for Sue. On the top, it's regimented, it's clean, usable, but then on the bottom, underneath, it's left a bit more wild, so you've got long grass and sticks, so the hedgehogs can scurry in and have somewhere safe to relax.
Out at the front, David's Hedgehog Hotel is looking very neat and tidy.
So I've finished cutting the entranceway into the Hedgehog Hotel, and that's just a simple archway like that. And now the next really important element is to have a tunnel entrance. There's a few reasons for that. This tunnel entrance is going to be slightly raised from the ground. What that's going to do is going to prevent wind and prevent too much water from getting into the house itself. But also, most importantly, it's going to help to prevent any larger predators from getting in and eating the hedgehog. And then for the tunnel, I'm going to use this brushwood fencing. It's going to arch over like that, and then the hedgehog kind of runs underneath. And not only is it really functional for this, it's actually going to look quite good and fit in with the natural scheme of the garden. Perfect.
Harry's made good progress with the boardwalk, and it's time to put the viewing platform in the form of a metal grille over Charlie's Hedgehog Highway.
Look at that. Beautiful.
And then what's so nice, I think, when Sue walks down, she can walk on top of here like this, and it allows her to kind of see the hedgehog's roots through, really, so see how they're getting on.
And for the finishing touch, David's hedgehog hidey hole is ready to go in.
Nice. So this is our space here underneath the deck for the hedgehog home. And what we're going to use is one of the old recycled slabs as the base. Nestle that in there. That onto it like that. And then you can put the tunnel in. I'm just going to put that over there, and that's going to help stop the water from sitting on there, or if it does, stop the wood from rotting. And I've got some of this extra brushwood. We're going to put that either side, along with some more of those leaves, and that's going to double up some nice bit of insulation. Perfect. Now I'm just going to put the decking boards back on. It's all done.
And with the boardwalk finished and David's hotel providing safe shelter for Andover's hedgehog community, the garden is finished. Sue's garden just wasn't fit for purpose. But now it's been transformed into this eco-friendly hedgehog haven. Time to see what she thinks.
Open your eyes now.
Wow, look at that. Oh, it's great.
So we've got our little grid walkway here, so the hedgehogs can come scurrying up through all this and underneath and into that shrubbery, and then they can go and get a drink in the pond. So you'll get grass growing up, which they will love because they'll feel quite safe.
Yeah.
They can go, and you will know because you'll see little tracks, whether they've been backwards and forwards underneath.
That's really great, isn't it?
Sue was thrilled with that garden, and hopefully the hedgehogs are using their highway to the pond unimpeded by human beings. Now, it's really easy to encourage wildlife into the garden. The most straightforward, simple thing to do, make a bird bath, and this one is dead easy. Terracotta pot for the base, a waterproof shallow dish to go on top, and fill it with water. You want to position it near to shrubs. If you put it right in the middle of a lawn, you'll find that the birds won't come to it because they're too frightened. Now, if your dish is quite deep, it's definitely worth putting in a few pebbles so they can get to the water easily. And you'll also find that butterflies and insects will come and drink from it. And the other thing to remember is make sure you clean it out quite regularly. That way there's no chance of disease. Our next eco garden was one in Manchester for Kim and Dorothy. And the boys made some quite cool things for our feathered friends.
Our next top of the plot's eco-transformation saw Dorothy ask for a bird-friendly garden.
Dorothy, this is a nice snug spot, isn't it? Got a great view of the garden from here.
Yeah.
Do you sit out here lots?
Yeah.
And what do you like watching?
Birds.
You're a bit of a twitcher, are you?
I certainly am.
So Charlie's design focused on creating bird perches, boxes and feeding areas. And the first job for the brothers is to make an unusual climbing frame for the plants and birds, of course.
So what we're doing is we're making something that has a multifunctional use. So it's going to be a little framework for climbers to climb up, but then most importantly, some of the birds can sit, and then obviously Doc can watch them.
And we've got this vertical post at the middle, and then we've got these horizontal laths. And those laths have been cut to the form of a leaf shape, so it creates that lovely bit of structure.
And just to attach it, what we're doing is we're putting in 2 screws per lath, and that's just so you don't get a pivot point and it doesn't twist around.
This has cost probably about £5 to make, but I think dotted throughout the garden is going to really make a nice little feature.
There we are, stand her up.
Right, one down, a few more to go.
Charlie's also building something for our feathered friends to enjoy.
I'm making a very simple bird box, just using 1 plank of timber, but make sure that you go for timber that hasn't been treated because the treatment's not good for the birds. So I've got these old seed trays here. So we're going to put the nesting box here and then plant up the front so they've got their own front garden, which would be cute.
Following a simple design she found on the internet, Charlie has measured her plank of wood into 6 pieces to make the 4 sides of the box, the top and the bottom.
So that's the back. Then you've got your sides like that, and side like that. Then you've got the base, so you get the general gist of what's going on. Oh, I haven't got enough hands here.
Do you want a hand, Charlie?
Oh, no, I might be dangerous, though. That's the only thing.
That's my middle name.
What?
Harry Danger Rich.
Got to be careful not to split the wood.
Do you make many bird boxes, Charlie?
No, does it show? I need to put the hole in. Depending on how big a hole you put in the front of the box, you'll get different birds. We're going to put one in that's 25 millimetres, so that's going to be for all the smaller birds, things like blue tits and marsh tits, that type of thing. You want to make sure that the bottom of the hole is about 100 millimetres up. That way, you know, if a cat came along, they won't be able to sort of put their paw in and get the baby birds out. And that's going to be the bottom of the hole. That's that. Right, so that's your hole in there. And then the roof's going to go on like so. So it overhangs, so it keeps the front of the bird box dry. And And then it's a case of attaching the roof. So I'm just using some of this rubber, put a strip of that and some clouts.
After attaching the roof, the basic box is complete.
Then we just have a little flip up the lid, keeps the rain out. And then pop it in a little seed tray like that and plant up this area here. Quite fun, isn't it?
Before long, the brothers' bird perches are ready.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I think 2 up the top, just up there in that corner.
Nice, yeah.
So let's put that big one in front of that hydrangea. And I don't want them like flat on, I want them angled on, so like that.
Yeah.
And then back a bit. Okay, and the other little one then.
2 little, 1 small.
2 small.
Nailed it.
Just about there then.
Nice.
Huh?
Yep. Perfect.
Cool.
And these two here.
All that remains is to knock the perches into place, carefully protecting the brothers' masterpieces with an offcut.
Should have some little decorations on here at Christmas time as well.
Yeah. Christmas baubles.
Yeah.
And ding dong merrily on high.
That's it.
The bird perches are finished at last. All that remains is for Charlie to position her 1-plant bird box.
I reckon that one there. I do sort of feel like lording it over the birds from up here.
Alongside her bird box, Charlie positions a feeding tray, and she's made an insect hotel, which will attract bugs to further encourage our feathered friends. And with that, her work is done. Dorothy's garden was unused and unloved. But now it's been transformed into a bird-friendly paradise. Time to show Dorothy.
That is, as my mum used to say, coming from Norfolk, it's beautiful. It's lovely. These little wooden trees are nice.
Do you think your birds will like this?
I think so.
Well, if I was a bird, I think I'd definitely be visiting that garden after we left.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing what you can create from a couple of old pallets. Now here they've created a beautiful composting emporium. I think it's great because you're recycling your materials back into the garden. You're using your grass cuttings, you've got some kitchen waste there, you've got some straw and you've got some leaf litter at the back there. But really, it's a bit like a recipe. You've got to get a little bit of green, a little bit of brown, and mix it all together. Really aerate it. So what better than to create your own homemade compost?
Now, these pallets here actually remind me of our ultimate recycling garden. Do you remember Yardley?
Oh, is it Tracy?
Yeah.
Her garden was full of her late husband's odds and ends from work as a builder, and that gave us lots of inspiration for the design.
It did, yeah. I'm pretty sure Charlie would describe that as a treasure trove of tat.
Oh, yes.
Tracy's late husband, Simon, had always had grand plans for the family's back garden.
He would always come home with a van full of leftovers, and it was his long-term plan to actually turn all his materials into what we wanted as a perfect garden. It's just like Steptoe's yard, I used to call it.
There's loads of materials. There's too many materials, really, but it'll be good to see them used.
So what do you do with all this stuff? You send the garden rescue team in to reuse and recycle on a big scale. And Charlie's design includes a recycled brick pathway, a memorial seating area and a log store.
They've got a wood burner inside and there's lots and lots of logs, as you can see.
Yes.
And a lot of it, the timber's stored in that log store there, which
Yeah.
is not a thing of beauty.
Not particularly. Looks like it's about to fall over, to be
So,
fair.
first job for you, a nice log store here,
OK.
but you need to move.
Oh, are you
bricks.
sure now?
On you go, boys.
Oh, cheers.
Always on the lookout for recycling discarded material, landscaper Andy thinks of a creative use for the bricks.
Oh, Andy,
Hey up.
just the man.
Skip?
Well, not if you don't want them to.
Well, I was just looking at these old engineering, well, new engineering bricks. Think we ought to put some in the path?
Oh, yeah. What about some of those ones? What are they, air bricks?
These, they're all different.
Yeah.
Look at these.
Oh. It's like
I'd save them if I were you.
Nice. That saves a lot of work.
Yeah,
We like that, Andy.
Andy wastes no time in getting the bricks into the path, creating a new feature to give texture and interest. With the brothers' corner of the garden now cleared, Simon's treasure trove has revealed another gem.
Charlie's found this beautiful crate that is very solid and is going to make a great base for our log store.
What we want to do is make it into a triangle shape. So not only is that going to look good, having this lovely apex, but it's also going to be very practical, because obviously the water is just going to run straight off it.
We're going to cut the front off, and that's going to allow nice access into the log store, but we're going to retain the back and the sides for a nice bit of structure.
David cuts the wood to size, creating the A-frame of the log store, while Harry gets the front of the crate off.
And there we are, a ready-made log store. So quite excited now about putting the little apex on it and some feather boards, and it's going to be a nice addition to the garden.
Once the A-frames have been secured to the base, the brothers can start on the walls.
This is the feather board we're using to clad the log shed, and as you can see, it tapers at one end. And that's really handy because as you build it up and up, you want to make sure that these feather boards overlap. And that's why it's thinner at one side, so that it doesn't keep pushing out. So the key is to make sure that the top one overlaps the bottom one, therefore you've got no gaps for the rainwater to seep in.
We finished putting the featherboard at both sides, but obviously when we get to the top, it leaves a gap. And we don't want any of the water to seep in and obviously get the logs damp. So what we've done is we've cut a section of this drain pipe out, and we're just going to put it over the top, like that, bend it a little bit, screw it in or fix it in, and therefore the water's going to hit that, run off down the sides, and the logs stay nice and dry. There we are, so that's the log store complete, and we put a shelf here so that we can have the kindling on the bottom, and then we can pile up the logs here on the top.
Charlie's also made a discovery in amongst the junk, and it's got her creative juices flowing.
God, there's some amazing things around here. A wood burner, but I thought I'd make it as a pedestal for a table, using that piece of slate. And then I might pop this up with some plants. What do you think? Lee? Yeah? So look at this piece of slate. It's gorgeous.
Oh, I imagine you want me to do something with this.
Yeah, table. So I'm thinking, we've got that wood burner.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's levelled up, that'll make a really nice table. And we're looking that way, and the bench seat coming off this way, yeah?
What we're using for the bench seat?
Well, that's the thing, you see. See, leave that balance there. Out the back, I've found this lovely wood. I just cannot believe how much stuff. Look at these lovely old logs. Are they... Sounds all right, and it's heavy. I mean, it's quite...
Oh, yeah, it's just nice and dried out. So there's a few years left in that.
Yeah.
While Lee gets back to work making Charlie's table and bench, David starts stacking logs in the new store.
That looks lovely.
Yeah. Somewhere about there, then.
About there, and then the table coming off there just so she can put her cup of tea on it.
The recycled bench and table are forming part of a memorial corner for Simon, rounded off with some floral planting.
It's looking lovely under here. It's a gorgeous little woodland space to sit and...
It's very tranquil as well.
Oh, they're going to love it.
Tracy's garden was tatty and full of building gear. But now it's been transformed and upcycled into this magnificent space. But will Tracy fall for its charms?
I'm scared.
You're scared?
I'm scared.
Oh my God, this is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I can't believe it. It's the same garden. Amazing.
Do you like what the boys have done?
Yeah, that's great. I love it. I love it. I love everything.
Lots of bits and bobs that we've used.
Thank you. That's perfect. Wow.
I know what builders are like. They're very particular. Do you think Simon would think we finished it off reasonably well?
Yes,
Yeah,
he would.
definitely.
Yeah, he would approve. He'd approve to everything. He would have loved it.
Yardley did have loads of treasures just dotted round the garden. And look what I found under the hedge here. Gorgeous, isn't it? So that could be potted up. And a little tip, if you've got brand new things that you want to make them look a bit old and weathered, just sling them under the hedge for a couple of months and they'll weather up nicely. Now look at these gorgeous plants. I mean, everyone knows rosemary and lavender, gorgeous scent, and the bees love it. So if you want to get bees in the garden, these plants are ideal. Ox-eye daisy, a very happy looking plant, and it'll self-seed and look quite wild and natural. Salvia, and then scabious, one of my favourite, gorgeous flowers, and the bees go mad for it. And that's exactly what Robert and Gemma from Leamington Spa wanted. They wanted a family-friendly garden that the bees and the bugs would love, and Arit gave them exactly that.
Robert, Gemma and their daughter Darcy's garden was a little rough and ready. But it was their love of bees that inspired Arit's design that featured lots of hexagonal shapes.
Left this area at the top here to create some raised beds. So, but rather than doing them sort of in the standard rectangular shape, using the beehive as an inspiration. So that way you might choose one to have cut flowers, you might choose one to have vegetables.
As well as the beds, there's also a large hexagonal arch and bug hotel. But the first job is to position those raised beds.
Does it just need to come over a little tad, do you think?
Whatever you want.
We'll
The whole tree.
We'll just the three, just to come over a little tad. I think it's just that comfort level of making sure that there's enough space to get around, walk around these.
Are you feeling a bit wider?
I think as long as you've got a little bit of that.
Exactly.
Oh,
Little bit what?
What's the The old dodgy knee.
Finally happy with the veg beds, Arit can concentrate on her plan to attract plenty of bees and other wildlife to the top end of the garden.
This area of the garden is what I'm calling the wild meadow. It's going to be really easy to look after. What I've just done is mown a path for the family to still be able to access the fruit trees, because when they need to pick them, I need to make sure that they feel comfortable, that they can still get an area to walk through.
To ensure that pollinators have nectar to feed on right the way through the year, she's adding to the planting here. She's popping in some cow parsley for its large, flat flower heads, the perfect landing pad for lots of pollinators, perennial wallflowers for their long flowering season, and good old-fashioned English bluebells.
Still obviously need to make sure that you're watering, even though we're in the natural area. These plants still need to get established. And what I have done as well is just use the soil around the area. I'm not bringing in a new compost because I want these roots to get used to their new environment quickly. So that's why they're just going straight in.
Next, the team have to position the striking hexagonal arch, which is no easy task.
Where do you want this then, Harry?
OK, let's go and see what this is going to look like up in the veg plot. I'm feeling that it needs some height and structure up there.
Smashing.
Changed my mind. Designer prerogative. Careful. Making way, making way.
No, Ara, that's a big-looking veg bed.
I think it could be quite nice, just where the boys are, really. Let's give it a whirl. The position's not quite right. Can I look and see it from the other end? It's not quite working.
I agree.
How much further does the garden go back? Keep coming, keep coming. Yeah, definitely better there.
Dig it in, peg it, done.
That's it. Fabulous. OK, onward.
With the garden nearly finished, Arit focuses her attention on daughter Darcy's bug hotel.
This is her little space that she can really play with, start to get used to seeing insects in the garden, and really just so that she can get a bit creative. So I'm going to start it off for her using things like, obviously, dried leaves are really important. Got some cones that I'm going to use, and then obviously, as well as we know, bugs of different sizes like to get in and out of holes. So we've got things like the bamboo here, and also as well, don't be worried about using little bits of wood and from around the garden because they'll decay off, and that's when you start to get things like wood lice can start to come in here as well. And then obviously in time, all those little bugs will start to go and run around into the garden as well. So, and that's exactly what we want. I'm going to start getting creative.
And with plenty of bee-friendly plants added, this wildlife haven is finished. What was a messy little used space has been transformed into a stunning bee-friendly garden for the family to enjoy. But what will Robert, Gemma and their daughter Darcy think?
Open your eyes.
Oh, wow.
God.
Oh, wow. Oh, what do you think, Darcy? Oh, my God.
That's absolutely amazing.
Oh,
I feel a
wow.
little bit choked up there.
Isn't it amazing where wildlife find their homes? Inside this old tree stump, there's a family of wild black bees. And around the stump is planted rambling roses, we've got honeysuckle, and we've got these aquiledias here, providing the bees with a rich source of nectar, and hopefully encouraging them to stay.
Ponds are another great haven for wildlife. And Charlie, being queen bee of water features, we left her up to her own devices to create the water feature for Usha in Marlborough. Now, Usha is a wildlife photographer, and she was desperate for a pond.
Our next top of the plot's eco-transformation was in Usha's plain-looking garden. It needed a bug overhaul, so the brothers' design focused around a rather impressive eco-pond guaranteed to bring the garden to life.
Got a large wildlife pond for you.
OK.
So that, is, again, is a great way to encourage the wildlife there and great for the photography. And it's surrounded by a wildflower meadow.
Whilst the landscaping team get to work, Charlie is left to dig the pond.
When it comes to positioning a pond, it is really key to get it in the right place, whether it's a wildlife pond or an ornamental pond. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to put it in the shade so that way it won't go green and slimy. That's the wrong thing to do. You really want to have at least 6 hours a day of full sun so that the plants grow and keep the pond clear. Now, as this is a wildlife pond, we've positioned it close to the hedge. That way, the wildlife have got a safe corridor to get into the pond and out of the pond.
A large, healthy pond can attract over 100 different species of wildlife, including dragonflies, beetles, frogs, newts, and birds too. And they don't need deep water to flourish.
This being a wildlife pond, we don't need to go more than 60 centimetres deep. That's plenty for wildlife. Come and look at the pond. It's not as level as you think, this garden.
Is it not?
Well, I don't know how much, but you can see...
It looks good. That looks great. It's a great size as well, isn't it?
It's just a lot of faff getting the levels.
As Charlie gets the levels right, David helps put in a protective layer before the liner goes in.
Your sheet's this colour, David, then?
Yeah, just so it doesn't show up dirt.
Oh, yeah, that's what you all say. So...
The membrane goes in first to stop rocks or strong roots piercing the liner. If that happens, there's only one place for the water to go.
So, liner, take it like this.
David may be the boss, but Charlie's a bit of a pond expert, so he's happy for her to lead. For now.
Hope you've got clean socks on.
I've actually got holes in my socks.
It may look like a lot of liner for a medium-sized hole, but there's a reason for that.
Look at that.
Right, so then it's going to be a case of tidying, yeah?
Trying to fold it.
Fold it.
Put it round.
Now, You know, people go, oh, a liner, it looks terrible like that with the folds. But actually, for wildlife, it's ideal.
Yeah.
Because these make nice little nooks and crannies
Little
for
homes
frogs
for them.
and insects.
As well as helping the wildlife, keeping the liner snug but not tight stops it tearing.
I've got the O's.
You got the O's? Right, then,
Right,
I'm
shall I turn
getting
the O's on?
Yeah, but not while we're in it. Because
Surely now. It's quite warm. Charlotte, you ready?
Yeah, on you go then. I reckon it's going to definitely take 2 hours, even more, to fill.
Right.
But we don't want to cut the liner till it's full.
Wisdom.
Even grass can be wildlife friendly, and next to the pond, the Rich brothers are laying down some wildflower turf that has more biodiversity than a flower bed.
In Britain lately, all the native meadows have actually been decreasing. And that's due to things like agriculture and urban sprawl. So I think when you get a chance to bring back those native species and put them in your garden, you should definitely do it.
So how much of this meadow turf have you got going spare?
So we did have it so it kind of encompassed a bit of the pond.
Oh, OK.
So there should be enough to kind of, you know, give it that really nice natural look.
So that'll be good because then I can lay the turf.
Yeah.
So it's just about touching and then it will suck up a little bit of water. And the great thing about that is if you'll get things like meadow smock, lady smock will self-seed in there and it'll just carry on the theme of the wildflowers. When it comes to pond plants, there's 3 key groups. You've got oxygenators, which help keep the water fresh and non-stagnant. They don't need soil, they just need a bit of gravel. So they go right down to the deep bit, and it'll just be part of the hiding places for all the insects.
Oxygenators absorb excess nutrients in the water, keeping it clean and algae-free.
You also have plants that lay on the surface, which are things like water lilies, water hawthorn, pond fringe, and then you have the marginal plants, which stand in the shallow areas. When you buy your marginal plants, quite often they come with a label that says for 4 inches of water. What they mean is 4 inches from above the container top. So they go in quite deep. So these ones are going to go on the shelf. And they're ideal to let all the dragonfly nymphs crawl out and then break open and turn into beautiful dragonflies.
Charlie has created a shelf below the surface for the marginals to sit on. Water forget-me-nots and ornamental miniature bulrushes will help give a nice finish to the edge of the pond. As a final touch, Charlie creates an insect-friendly stumpery using some old timber. And with that, the perfect wildlife pond is finished. Wildlife photographer Usha has been crying out for her drab, uninviting garden to be turned into the perfect habitat for insects, birds, and little creatures. But now it's been transformed into a lush eco-garden with its incredible pond. Will Usha fall for its watery charms?
Right, so.
1, 2, 3. Open your eyes.
Oh, my word. Wow. No, this is gorgeous. Thank you very much, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
I'll come in for a hug as well.
Charlie, you really are the princess of ponds.
That I am.
From creating something new to actually saving something that was very old.
Yeah.
Annette from Mansfield wanted this wildlife garden, but she also had a sentimental attachment to a very old rickety shed.
Yeah, she did.
Yes, I have to say I'm glad that the team took a second glance at the design because I think they walked in and went, yeah, gonna have that down, and oh no, perhaps not. Charlie's actually pimping that up and saving it. So thank goodness they looked again. And we did pull a blinder off on that
Oh,
one.
yeah, should be proud of that.
know. I have to say, this shed looks like if you blew on it, it'd fall over.
I love this shed for the simple fact that when I bought the property, I'd not seen inside it. So the first day that I moved in and got my keys, I went inside it and just cried because it was like walking into my granddad's workshop and just brought back so many memories. It was lovely. I mean, the old chap's tools were still there.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was just lovely and really nice, and that smell, it brought all that back. So I don't particularly want to get rid of the shed. It does need a little bit of TLC.
With such a strong sentimental attachment to the shed, it was important that the team did everything they could to do the ultimate make and mend. And Charlie's winning design included giving the shed a Hansel and Gretel theme, but landscaper Andy wasn't convinced.
Charlie's got a bit of a Hansel and Gretel feeling going on with this shed, but in all honesty, it's turning into a bit of a Brothers Grimm for me because she wants really gnarly timbers for all of the posts and it's look very natural, very woodlandy.
But Andy's having problems getting his mitts on the right timber, so puts in a quick call to the boss.
Well, I was hoping to use like some sort of hazel, coppice hazel pruning, like that.
Okay.
But if you can't get any, then we can use sort of normal rough round poles, and then we could maybe use willow or hedge prunings or something like that, just to make it look rusticy.
Okie dokes.
Whilst Andy's going to have to shop around to give the new porch that homespun feel, the shed itself is already pulling off the rustic look a little too well.
It's not just a lick of paint, is it? But it's absolutely solid as a rock. It's completely not going anywhere. So it's going to need a few of these bits of featherboard replacing. I think we'll just repanel that whole bit down the bottom there. Good sand and a paint and, you know, obviously kind of bits and bobs of repair around it, but it might come up all right,
And since the garden is all about make, do and mend, the old pavers from the path are used to extend the patio. Andy patches up the old shed as best he can, while Rosie gives it a fresh new colour. Charlie's design promised a porch-cum-pergola extension to the existing shed, so the Rich brothers start by planning that out with Andy.
If we have the shed as it is,
yep,
and then because we're having these two different porch areas, that's a shallower pitch there.
That's it.
So in essence,
absolutely perfect.
And there, and there.
And they're deciding where the uprights are going to go for our pergola or shed exoskeleton. And for the uprights, what we're using is some lovely tree trunks, so thin softwood conifer, and Andy sourced them from a local tree surgeon. And because we're using the whole trunk, it's going to give that lovely rustic appearance. But hopefully, we've got enough.
It's not a cut all the greys.
Mate, we're a team here.
Oh, there are.
Not anymore, by the look
Well,
of
you
it.
get one.
Oh, I need to poke it down with something, really, don't I? Well, should I do by eye?
Do by eye, I think, would be the best.
Check if the shed's level. Yeah. That's right, so if the trunk goes that way a little bit, then we're OK. Yeah, lovely.
With the uprights in position, they just need sawing to the right height.
Got some dandruff on there, Dave. Probably should have washed your hair last night.
In a snow globe. Just turn me upside down and give me a shake.
Cooking on gas, you boys are, aren't you?
We're good at rustic.
Yeah?
What do you think?
I think it looks great. I mean, I love the contrast between the horizontals of the shed and then the gnarled sort of bark of the conifer uprights.
It's definitely feeling like a little cabin now, isn't it?
Yes.
Uprights all in place, and the next stage for David is the roof.
Or can we notch out a little bit, or notch a little bit out of these? So we're just working out how the roof is going to go on, really. And all we're going to have is this horizontal bit of timber here, and we're going to have a nice bit that goes on top. And then basically by using gravel boards, we're going to sling them all the way across, and then on top of them, then, there's going to be some lovely timber shingles. There'll be a cabin before we know it. Definitely getting cabin fever anyway.
Harry rigs up some lighting to set the rustic canopy off a treat, and the shed's new lease of life is nearly there.
Now that the gravel boards are down, there's a good, strong foundation for the roof. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a waterproof membrane, which is obviously going to keep the roof nice and sealed for the people sitting underneath it. But then on top of that,
I'm going to be putting these cedar shingles. Now, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're a beautiful material to use. Now, they smell beautiful, and obviously, as they age, they're going to grey and silver off, which is going to look gorgeous as well. But what's so nice about a material like this is it is sustainable.
And speaking of sustainability, David's found some odds and ends hiding in the shed that he wants to upcycle too.
Old number plates. Now, these ones off cars. Then this one here is definitely off the front fender of an old motorbike. It looks super cool. And this shed was one of the main reasons that Annette actually bought the house. So it's lovely to be able to involve some of the old kind of objects that are inside it, obviously from the previous owners, use them in the garden and really extend the history and extend that story.
Annette's garden wasn't in good shape, especially with its rickety old shed. But now it's had a complete makeover, with the shed taking centre stage. Time for its grand unveiling.
Open your eyes. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that's tears of enjoyment. Look at my shed. I can't call it a shed.
The colour is brilliant.
Yeah.
That looks amazing. Yeah, it's just absolutely perfect for the family to get together on an evening, just to sit out, have a little drink, have a barbecue, get the fire going. Amazing, relaxing end to a day.
Wow, that shed meant so much to Annette.
Yeah, I'm just glad we were able to save it, but also give it a new lease of life.
Yeah, make do and mend. I think good for the planet, and I feel like gardening is a really good way of helping out the old girl, isn't it?
Oh, hold on. You're not talking about me there, sunshine.
Huh? No. Ah, Mother Nature.
Ah, let you off this time.
Well, we hope you enjoyed a look back at some of our favourite eco-friendly gardens.
And see you next time for some more Top of the Plots.
Charlie Dimmock,
Boys!
the Rich Brothers, and the Garden Rescue Team have a treat in store.
Too much entertainment.
They have come to the rescue of hundreds of British gardens. Now it's time to look back and pick their favourites.
This looks really cool.
Fabulous.
As they celebrate the very best.
I don't like it.
Huh?
I love it.
From extraordinary eco gardens
Thank you so much.
to exotic designs.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Gardens inspired by people.
Is this the garden that you dreamed of?
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a thumbs up.
And places.
It's the most beautiful garden I've ever been in.
Therapeutic spaces.
Wow.
And the most extraordinary transformations.
Whoa. It is perfect.
Yeah, come on. I want it. Welcome to Garden Rescue.
Top of the plots. What's on the agenda today, then?
I mean, don't pretend you don't know what's going on today. Of course, it's mine and Dave's top picks, our favourite gardens that we've ever created on Garden Rescue.
OK.
So it's going to be a fun programme.
Oh, absolutely. It was quite a tricky task, actually, because you think between us, we've created over 100 gardens.
It's a lot of gardens.
Quite amazing. Of course, all of them special and unique.
Yeah.
So go on, how did you choose? Because I found it very difficult to choose my favourite gardens.
It was quite tricky, wasn't it? But we just looked for ones that had nice character, nice atmosphere, refined lines, multi-stem trees, natural planting, that kind of stuff.
All those old chestnuts.
Absolutely.
But we've actually chosen some of our favourite gardens that you've created as well, of course.
Oh, you sweet little Welsh lambs.
We're proud of all our transformations. But our first Rich Brothers' favourite garden rescue is for Manchester pair Lauren and Trevor, who became neighbours 2 years ago and since then have become a couple.
So we thought by sharing the gardens, it would just maximise the space and just give us plenty of room, really.
The couple wanted clean lines and striking planting.
So this is our design.
And the Rich Brothers plan, featuring Scandinavian influences and birch trees, ticked all their boxes.
So as you travel through this more kind of intimate area, we really wanted you to kind of open up onto this kind of large, expansive deck. And that kind of connects the two gardens and makes this space one. So we've got a nice little kind of private seating area with a fire bowl, so you can sit back in the evenings, and you've got these really cool kind of single-stem trees kind of shooting out the deck, which will make it feel kind of part of the garden.
But with the garage taking up one garden and the other laid with paving, Bowen and the landscaping crew have a mammoth clearing out task before the build can begin.
The decking is flying out over here, and we've got a big tree going through the decking, so we just need to take out a lump of the old garage base to make space. We've got something good to plant into.
With the space stripped back, work can start on the decking.
How much higher do you think we're going to be off ground level over here, Lee?
I haven't got a clue, mate.
2 steps? A couple of steps?
Yeah, a couple of steps. For the decking, and for the shelter, and for the benches, we're using larch. A larch is a perfect choice, as it's actually quite cost-effective, but because of the natural resins and actually some of the qualities in the wood, it's really resistant, and it means you don't have to take care of it and maintain it too much. Pressure-treated pine, cedar, or even recycled plastic composite boards can be used for decking. The boys' choice of larch will give the couple the clean Scandinavian style they're looking for. And the brothers are bringing the same feel to the pathways. For the walkway into the garden, we're using these concrete lintels. Now, concrete lintels you usually find supporting the tops of doors and windows in your home, but we're going to use them on the ground as paving. Now, it'll cost you about £20 each, or roughly about that, which in the terms of paving is probably quite expensive, but it really ties in with that modern linear shape and definitely picked up on that Scandi style that they wanted in their garden, so these guys are perfect. The boys wanted to put a fire bowl in the middle of the wooden decking area, and Charlie's come up with a way to ensure it doesn't become a fire hazard.
Trevor and Lauren were really keen to get some fire in the garden. They originally asked for a fire pit, but the boys have decided to go with this, which is a fire bowl. It's got that very simple design to it. It's going to go on the deck, but what we've done is taken the deck section out, put down some chunky gravel, and then on top of that, we're putting some fine gravel, so there is no chance of the deck catching on fire. This was £90 off the internet, comes as a kit form. I did tease the boys and said I'll clean it up for them because it's all rusty. They had a slight meltdown at that point, but no, they've gone for the rusty look. Drain holes in there, so it drains, but also it lets air in so that the fire starts nice and easily. All I've got to do is screw it together.
Before the decking can progress any further, the designers need to position the birch trees. And given their height, they're going to need a little help to stay upright.
So when you're planting big shrubs and big trees, you sometimes think, oh, I'm going to enrich the soil so they really grow well. Sometimes by doing that, if you make the soil too rich, the roots don't actually start looking for the food. So it's better just to put a little bit in, and then the roots will slowly work their way into the soil that's already there. So these are very straightforward, basic tree tie. There's a packer here so that the trunk doesn't rub against the stake. What you've got to remember is you're tying the tree to the stake and not the stake to the tree. And always leave a little bit extra so that you can slacken it off as the tree grows.
Meanwhile, Harry's planting the rest of the birch trees within the perimeter of the deck itself.
This is a really large expanse of deck, so what we wanted to create here was a little bit more of a kind of intimate character. So by placing the trees within the deck, you're actually breaking it up as a whole expanse. And, you know, it creates a lot more emphasis on these birch trees because they stand quite, like, isolated on their own. So, you know, not only does it create a little bit of height and splits the deck up, but it also gives this lovely canopy that's just going to dapple when the sun's out and create a really cosy place to sit and relax.
As well as the trees, the brothers have added a boulder to break up the clean lines of the decking. And Lee's hit on a crafty way to get them to fit together.
Good. So it was not designed to have the boulder in the deck, but I've spotted that you've got a dreamy line all the way around. How have you cut it?
Basically, what I'm doing is using an old offcut of decking.
Yeah.
Cut it roughly to shape. Then all I'm using around this boulder, because we don't want too big a gap.
Yeah.
Just a finger width. Put it up to it. Drop the finger with the pencil on. Follow the contour of the stone.
Nice.
Like so.
I mean, it's so worth. I mean, the boulder alone in the deck looks cool, but then just finishing off a little bit of quality, a little bit of care makes a massive difference.
Yeah, it looks good.
With the boulder and the other finishing touches slotting into place, the garden makeover is complete. And a space that was once a mass of concrete and paving has been transformed into a garden of clean lines and beautiful forms.
In 3, 2, 1, have a look.
Oh my,
wow.
It's amazing. That is unbelievable.
Flipping heck. Yeah. It is. It's so different. It looks incredible. It's so beautiful.
I really loved that garden. It really brought together those star-crossed lovers. And the garden itself was quite modern in its appearance. It had those linear lintels running through, planted up either side. It also had the birch trees. It had a very modern look. A great plant to emphasise that are grasses. And grasses are extremely versatile. They can give you structure, they can give you airiness, they can connect your planting schemes together. But one of the best things about them is that when the perennials actually die off late in the season, the grasses really come to life and really hold together the planting schemes. And I'm planting Festuca glauca, intense blue. And as the name says, it's got a lovely blue tinge to it. Now this grass is great at the fronts of borders and it works really well in a gravel garden. It likes a nice sunny position and it doesn't like to be in wet ground. Speaking of creating a sleek, modern look, Charlie did that exact thing for Rachel, Lindsay and Missy May in Ellesmere Port.
The Rich brothers' next top of the plot's favourite garden...
Who put that down? You.
...is a Charlie-winning design which transformed a dull space.
I don't think the garden shows any sides of our personality at all, does it?
Nothing.
No.
Into a fun, zingy garden with a pop art-inspired mural.
And I thought it'd be really fun on this side to have a bit of mad bit painting on there.
Oh, that's cool.
But before Charlie's pop art vision can take shape, the landscapers work their socks off to create the wooden wall for the mural.
Nice level, boss. Lovely job.
Putting up an L-shaped screen made from softwood boards. Charlie's given the boys the job of painting the mural on the newly erected screen.
It's all about being bold, like quite conceptual shapes.
Yeah.
Something that's really lively. So I think just like big blocks of colour.
Harry begins by drawing out a circle for the central feature of the design, a large chalkboard. Rachel and Lindsay love to entertain, so Charlie's designed a barbecue station at the front of the garden and asked Ben to build it.
So you managed to put it together.
Yes.
I always worry about kit barbecues and things like that, but that was a nice, simple, easy one. But I want it built into a table, yeah? Not like, I don't want the barbecue just there on a bit of gravel.
Okay.
But they're not so tall that when they look out the kitchen window, you see barbecue. So
Yeah.
it's got to be about this high. And then maybe have a stone surface, or, yeah?
We've got a perfect slab for it.
OK. So you're all right with this?
I'm on it.
With their design now marked out, Harry and David can start painting the mural.
The only difficulty, I'll say, is when it goes over a board. That really throws you because it pushes the brush out. I've learned from experience. Time-consuming work, but we've made a start, and it's starting to look better than it was, which is great. Now, we're going for a razzle-dazzle effect on this back wall, which is going to look fantastic. But the actual origins of this comes from World War I. So, a thing called a dazzle ship. Now, what they did, they actually painted the ships with lots of funky patterns like this. So if a submarine's periscope popped up, instead of just seeing a normal ship, it would actually be quite confused by the distorted shape of all these patterns. So, a very cool concept, and great to be able to translate that into a garden.
At the front of the garden, Gruff's giving Ben a hand to build the barbecue station. The barbecue unit cost just £25, but it's being glammed up.
That's bang on there, look. 175 up to the top of the slab.
Encased in a wooden framework that matches the raised beds. When finished, Ben is using the leftover sandstone tiles from the patio to make a sturdy countertop.
Nice.
The whole team is getting creative in the garden. Harry and David's mural is coming along nicely, and Charlie's making a clock for Missy May's new play area.
Rather than putting numbers on, I thought it'd be a bit of fun to have it based on the sort of nursery rhyme. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, knock on the door. 5, 6, a pile of sticks. 7, 8, lay them straight. 9, 10, a big fat hen.
Charlie fixes the knickknacks to make up the clock face. And then one final piece of the puzzle.
So I'm just putting the clock face together. So basically it's just going to be hands that sort of dial round. So you can buy these clock fittings or the mechanism for about £10, £11. So we've gone for the big one now. I've got to make sure that I put the big hand and the little hand in the right order, because otherwise it'll tell the wrong time.
And on the other wall of the play area, the Rich Brothers mural is coming on a treat.
It's taken a lot of time. There's a lot of detail gone into this, and a lot of love, but we've got a few more to do, and it's complete. I actually had a lot of fun. Brain is slightly fried from concentrating, but I think Charlie will be very happy.
It's all systems go to get the rest of the garden ready for the family.
Yes!
And with the eye-catching mural finished, Harry and David make an integrated bench and shelf for the play area.
Yeah, you got that, mate. Hold that in true now.
As the final touches fall into place, a space that was dull and lifeless is transformed into one that fizzes with character. But what do Missy May and her parents make of it?
Do you want to open your eyes?
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Wow. Amazing.
That is fabulous. I love it.
I really like it.
You really like it? Yeah.
Happy gardening.
Happy gardening. So that's your blackboard.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Fab. I love it.
I like the colours.
We love the garden. We absolutely love it.
Amazing. Just everything.
It was more than what we expected. Everything about it, there's nothing we don't like.
It's magical.
That garden was such fun. It made me really smile and feel happy. And something that makes me smile as well are these almost Toy Town lollipop bay trees. So bays are great for adding height, structure, and evergreen shape to the garden, especially small gardens. And another small garden that was tackled was for Karen and Duncan in Shefford.
Karen and Duncan recently downsized, and this Rich Brothers' favourite top of the plots transformed their tiny garden.
At the moment, we come out the door, sit at the top on the decking that we don't like, and you look down and think, well, it's boring, there's nothing to look at.
The couple wanted a wildlife-friendly garden that maximised on their limited space.
We have no birds here, and I think that's something I'm really, really missing from where I used to live. There were so many birds. Entertain more, just relax. We don't sit out here enough, and I'd like to sit out here longer.
Designed to make the garden look bigger, the brothers' curved patio bordered by yew hedging won the couple over.
It's a lovely kind of York stone, a really beautiful material. This garden, although it's small, we've tried to be clever with what we've put in. So you're going to get blossom, you're going to get berries, you're going to get autumn colour. It's going to try and pack as much kind of seasonal change into this space as possible.
Who said chivalry's dead, eh?
Before the space-expanding patio can be installed, the landscaping team have to clear the old decking, dig up the turf, and lay a layer of aggregate before taking delivery of the new paving slabs.
So this is all reclaimed York stone. You see it a lot in cathedrals and those sort of spaces.
It's nice. It's lovely stuff.
Random.
Yeah, it is, but it always looks so good when it goes down.
With each slab being a different size and thickness, getting the paving right is an art form.
That's it.
Whoa! Hey, what that says?
Jigsaw sorted.
Looks great.
Yeah. Nice, isn't it?
When the Rich brothers arrive with Arit, their first job is to map out the curved lines on the paving that'll add interest and breadth to the space.
That feels good, doesn't it?
This right there.
Yeah, that feels nice as a curve, doesn't it? Yeah, that's lovely. Well, that's the end of it there anyway, mate.
Once they're happy with the shape, the brothers use a circular saw to cut it out.
Oh, you can really start to see the curve now. And obviously, once we've removed this base here, place it with a nice trench of soil, and the hedging's going to run around here, soften the slabbing. It's going to look fantastic.
Good job, Dave.
At the front, Arit's gathering some ingredients to help her bring birds into the garden.
I've just taken a little bit of time out to come and make a bird feeder, which I think will be perfect for Karen and Duncan. All you need is a cooking bunt, any foods that the birds are going to love, peanuts, seeds, berries, and gelatin is going to set the whole lot of it. With gelatin, always have the hot water first, because effectively I'm going to be making a layer cake. Hot water, take your gelatin, sprinkle that in. I've got my ready-made stirrer. Pour that first layer in. And then, from there, I'm going to do seeds, first of all. I'm going to do a few berries as well. So we've got blueberries here. And I may even put in a little bit of hay. It's a really nice touch. And keep going, really.
With the paving cut to shape, the brothers are digging a trench for the yew hedging.
When you're putting in a long stretch of hedging like this, we always think that the best thing to do is actually dig a trench, put them all in, and then infill around the root balls. And therefore, you're not fiddling around trying to do individual holes. You should be quicker in the long run.
Oh, there's a stone there.
This looks good enough to eat. So I've used 6 sachets on this. I really want this to set very, very solid because I'm going to hang it up. That's the last of the gelatin going in, and there it is done.
Arit's going to pop the bird cake into the fridge to set for a couple of hours.
I feel like a proud mother penguin modelling in my child.
It's like a mini Christmas tree.
Oh, lovely. Isn't that fantastic? Imagine that all full up now.
You's looking sexy.
Thank you.
And the rest of the team lend a hand to the mother penguin getting the remaining yews in.
Oh.
The yews will be planted in 3 sections to form fragments of a sweeping line through the garden, drawing the eye down the space.
Look at these now. Instantly transform the garden. It creates a nice rhythm in the garden, but really breaks it up, doesn't it?
Also keen to make the very most of the very limited space available, Arit and Danny are constructing a raised veg planter to go at the back of the garden.
So the lovely thing about this is we've been able to use a green oak, and down at the mill, they've sawn them for us, put them into planks. Actually, they only work out a couple of pounds more than if we'd have used old reclaimed scaffolding boards. But green oak is lovely, and it's going to weather down really, really nicely, giving it that kind of very natural feel. So, Dan, should we get on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Aha.
Once the main frame is screwed together, Danny and Arit add shelving to the planter.
So you can see this is really simple to put together. Needs two of you, obviously, but it's going to be very effective. We're going to line this with a membrane so that we don't let all the soil fall out, let the water through, and then we've got all this vertical planting, so all this extra planting space in a small garden. It's perfect.
For sure. It's a beast. Right, I'm right behind you.
In the garden, the boys are planting crabapple trees, a perennial favourite with the wildlife that Karen and Duncan are so keen to attract to the garden.
So these are Malus winter golds. They're crab apple. Now, they're a good shape for this garden because they're multi-stem, which means they're not necessarily going to grow as tall. And there's 3 of them, and they're really going to help to create that rhythm throughout this space along with the hedging. Now, they're the main structural plants, so that's why they're coming in just after the hedging.
As well as being popular with birds and bees, the crabapple fruits can be eaten cooked and are often used to make jelly, pickles and tarts.
Oh, yeah!
On the other side of the garden, Arit's making good use of the fence space with her new planter.
Getting the herbs in. It's quite a satisfying job. A little bit fiddly because you've got to get the levels right. Making sure their little roots are in. Give it a good firm pat down.
It's time for the team to finish off the beds with planting and put down the bound gravel surface next to the house, while Arit wants to show off the bird cake she made earlier.
This moment of truth. Is it going to fall apart or is it not?
Well, let's see. I needed you here in case it did. Ready?
Oh, that sounded hollow. Has that come out?
Oh.
Part of it has. Look at that.
Et voila.
That looks fantastic. My goodness me, what is that?
It's gelatin, isn't it?
Fantastic. The birds are going to be, well, they're going to be here for this, aren't they? Nothing else now.
It's up to me.
You've got to outshine everything in the garden, Arit.
Party.
Right, let's find a space now.
All right, love. There you go.
Karen and Duncan had an uninspiring pocket-sized plot. But now it's a lush, wildlife-friendly space, packed with stylish planting and natural features.
Three, 2, 1, open your eyes.
Oh my God.
Yes! I told you, I could cry.
Wow.
Oh, gosh. It's lovely.
Come here.
Honestly, it's wonderful.
Brilliant.
It's wonderful, thank you.
Thank you
No
so much.
worries.
Thank you.
Those crabapple trees were a wonderful addition to that garden. And fruit trees are such a desirable thing to have. You can go for plum, you can go for peach, you can go for fig, maybe pear. What we've gone for here today is actually a plum, and it's a president plum. So it's not a large growing tree, about 3 to 4 metres, and it produces a wonderful blackish blue plum with a fleshy yellow centre. Great for cooking, but also great for picking off and eating straight off the tree.
Now, there's a few things to consider when choosing your fruit tree. One of them is the rootstock. Now, the rootstock determines the eventual size of the tree, so it's best to check you have the right one for your garden. Another thing to think about is whether your fruit tree is self-fertile. If it is, that's great, it produces fruit on its own, but if it isn't, then you need to surround it with other fruit trees.
Oh, that looks absolutely perfect, mate.
C'est marvelous. There we go, 1 plum planted.
And 2 to admire it. Now, our next favourite garden is one of Charlie's for Sue and Robert in Rotherham, and it was on a terrible slope. Luckily, Charlie had a plan.
Sue and Robert had a garden that was not only dull and uninteresting, it also sloped.
It's just one big square green patch. It's not the most inspiring garden to come out and enjoy.
Charlie's plan for a two-tiered garden coupled with a scented walkway cleverly reworked the plot and got the thumbs up from Sue and Robert.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And I wanted this area here to be really attractive from your dining room so you can see out, and then you'll step down into the entertainment area.
Yeah.
Charlie's split-level patio solves the problem of the garden's awkward slope. But the team needs a level playing field before they can start laying the paving.
That's level, Paul.
With the main excavations done, Andy gets to work on laying the patio. And Charlie and the boys arrive to get stuck in.
My garden looks even bigger now.
Wow, doesn't it look huge? So nice having some level ground.
Charlie gets started on an archway that'll frame her scented walkway.
This is reinforcing steel. So it goes in concrete, so if you're laying a big slab of concrete and it just makes it stronger. But it's really handy in the garden. We actually bought a big sheet of it, £30. But what I love about it is you see it, but you don't see it. And it's great for climbers. And it sort of just adds that other dimension to the garden because it's a different material. And it works really well with timber and oak. So that should look really nice.
Charlie.
Meanwhile, the brothers have a bench to build.
Look at that.
Wow.
Isn't that just a stunning bit of oak?
That is gorgeous. Love the grain on it. Look at that grain. I like that bit. That's my favourite bit there.
That's why there. It's lovely because something like this only costs around £30, but straight away you get a really bespoke finish to the top of your bench.
No.
And we know that you've got metal with your arches, haven't you?
I have, and you're going to pick up on that, are you?
We were thinking of maybe having a little detail using some steel for the legs.
Oh, I'm excited to see how this is going to go.
Steve prepares the foundations for Charlie's steel arch.
So I want it to bend like that. So I presume if we cut these down a bit and then leave the pointy up bit, so it... If you could hold that for a minute, it's a bit like...
Well, if I hold one that way like that, then you can bolt... You could bend the other one over the other and make it stronger, couldn't you?
Yeah, but I'm sort of wanting to do that.
Oh, you're doing that, right?
Doing that.
Yeah.
Well, can I just get that in there like that? Like that? That's all right.
As Charlie and Steve grapple with the arch, out the front, the brothers have cut their bench top to length.
So we've got our cut down piece of oak here, which is looking beautiful. And I've marked on where the legs are going to sit. Got 6 of them, and I'm pre-drilling them with this wood bit. And I've actually added a little bit of tape because I don't want to go any further than that, so it helps me to know the depth of hole. And once these holes have been drilled, I'm going to get the rebar that Dave's cutting, place them in, knock them in with a hammer, twist the bench, go and position it into the garden.
So we're using this rebar here as the legs to our bench. Rebar is basically a reinforced steel, so it's used to reinforce a lot of concrete construction. So this is 16 mil, the diameter of it, which is quite thick. You can get a lovely variation of sizes, but this is going to look quite nice. It's going to be really sturdy, and when it's in the top of the bench and then hammered into the ground, it's going to hold that bench absolutely solid.
David's steel legs fit perfectly into Harry's holes. So now the finished bench can be permanently set in a quiet corner of the garden.
Look at that, it's like hovering. Beautiful. Really, really cool, isn't it?
The split-level patio is coming along nicely. And Lee's giving the finished water feature in the main seating area a good going over with the sander.
So the water feature is just a very simple one. It's literally a pool of water, no plants in it, a nice simple urn with water gently bubbling over the top and running down it, so that Sue can just put a treatment in, so it's not like a pond that she has to maintain, but it's nice to get the reflections of the sky in the water, and also it's sometimes quite nice just to sit on the bench and dabble your fingers in the water when it's a hot, sunny day.
The main permanent structures are now all in place. Time for some plant action.
Right, that's right in the middle of the rose bed. Further back. No, back this way.
But it's not going well.
Where you had it, there. No!
Looks good there, though.
No, that's a rose bed. Yeah, maybe a bit further, literally. That's it. So it separates the rose bed from the lawn.
Nice, lovely.
And then that will come over.
If only you said that the first time.
As the boys take on the tree planting, Charlie's mapping out her most fragrant garden feature.
OK, so that's the start of the scented walkway, which will be lovely because it's lots and lots of aromas. This will be a nice, gentle amble through the garden. Now, I've mixed up the hedging plants. I've got lavender and rosemary because this side of the garden is the less formal side. So by breaking it up, having odd numbers around, it'll make it less formal. It's a nice, gentle walkway. Now, it might look narrow, but the whole idea is that you actually brush against the plants that will release the scent. And I've also dotted in 1 or 2 El Camillas, not scented, but they've got that lovely lime green frothy flowers, which will break up the sort of glaucous colour of the lavenders and rosemaries. So that's all ready to pop in.
With Charlie and the boys finishing off the planting, the rest of the team mop up the last-minute jobs. Paul tamps down the gravel path, which winds through the scented garden. And Charlie can finish the water feature.
I love this pot. And look at that colour. Ooh, it's gorgeous.
And with that, the garden is complete. Once sloped and uninviting, this garden is transformed into a lush, welcoming space for Sue and Robert to enjoy.
Do you want to open your eyes?
Oh, wow.
Oh, Charlie, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't get over it. It makes me want to be out here now and not in the house. Whereas before, it was always the other way around. We never came out here. And I think now we're never going to be in the house. I need to buy some nice warm blankets now so I can sit out here all year round. I'm blown away. I'm totally blown away.
A magnificent job by Charlie. Wonderful to see Sue's reaction and how great that she now finally has a garden she can actually use. But not all gardens revolve around the flowers and the plants. Some are reserved for partying.
Our final Rich Brothers' favourite top of the plots takes us to Leeds, where friends Neil and Jack wanted a space to entertain.
Hi, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, mate. Good, thanks. You
had a good day?
Not bad, thank you. Making us a curry.
Oh, I was going to say, is it Thai or Indian?
Chicken makhani.
Excellent. So we'd love a garden with a seating area, eating area, maybe a fire pit, and just somewhere that's slightly secluded so that we don't feel overlooked and that we can enjoy a nice evening with our friends.
Clean lines and one standout feature made the brothers' design an easy choice for the fun-loving pair.
Hello. Okay.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We've given you quite a modern design. It's quite simple in layout, but it's something that breaks the garden up into different areas that have different uses. And then the main feature was this kind of bridge walkway. So we want to make this out of timber, so it's a contrasting material, and we want to raise it off the ground just a little bit, so it feels like it's hovering.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That's a really good idea.
Before the Rich Brothers can add a wow factor to the party garden, the landscaping team arrive to clear the space.
So we've just been working out whether we've got enough paving slabs to have the deck hanging over the edge of the slabs as David and Harry want, and the end result is yes, but only just. We can't break any. There are none left over.
The focal point of the garden will be a bridge linking the barbecue area at the front to a chill-out space at the back. And when the boys arrive, their first job is to lay a frame for the bridge that'll be sunk into the paving.
About there, then?
Yeah, I reckon that's about right, isn't it? Right, something like that. Like that. Like that. Whoa. I think that would be fab.
Once in position, Joe and Rosie give the bridge support a coat of paint, and David gets stuck into making the bridge itself with a pile of Douglas fir planks.
The key to this bridge is in its simplicity, but when you're creating something to look simple, it usually means that it needs to be that little bit more complex because the joins and the fixings need to be hidden. Now, the way that we want this bridge to look is actually like this here. So we've actually got the timbers on their ends, so you see the thinner width, and then we've got these constant spacing between them. Now, the way in which we're going to get the spacing is actually by using these spacers. So these have been cut to size, and when we slip them in the gaps there and pinch them together, it's going to give that constant parallel line all the way down the length. But by sinking these to the bottom, they're not going to be seen.
To match the timber bridge, the team have made a bench, barbecue table, and slatted feature wall, which is positioned at the back of the garden with planting behind.
Here we go. Well done, team. That'll be good. She'll rest on the walk fence now. Whoa, we've got it. OK, well done, guys.
Beautiful.
And now that David's finally finished preparing the bridge timbers, the party garden's central feature can begin to take shape.
So we're ready to start constructing the bridge in the garden.
Well, I'll follow him then. Oh, is it going to fit? I think there's probably an easier route.
Absolute pros. Or for now, let's just lie it on there because it'll look cool, eh?
Which way up? Is up?
That way. So just, yeah, that's the
like
badger.
That way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be trendy, isn't it? Yeah? Oh, mind your fingers.
With all the timbers in, David's threading steel rods through to hold the wood in place.
I'm glad I'm just the labour.
Yeah, keep going. As close to the fence as possible, is it?
Once the bridge is together and looking fantastic, it's left to one side.
Oh, that was easier than I thought, actually.
And an electrician installs a weatherproof junction box, which will power LED lights between its wooden slats. And the team move on to bringing in easy-to-care-for bamboo.
Hello.
Perfect. Now, bamboos are wonderful things, but you need to make sure you get the right one for the right place. But if you are worried about growing bamboos and you want to be really safe, then the one you want to go for, or the group you want to go for, are the clump-forming ones, like this one over here. This is known as Chinese fountain grass, and it's the ones that David and Harry really wanted in the garden because they've got a really beautiful habit of just coming up and arching over nice and gently, so it looks like fountain jets of foliage. So it's a Fargesia or a Fargesia, depends on how you want to say it, but Chinese fountain grass, lovely.
For Neil and Jack, this garden is more about partying than plants. So Charlie knocks up a novelty beer cooler for them, complete with water mister. But will it work?
Now, David and Harry set me up with making a beer cooler that was a bit different. So Wayne's made me this lovely box. I have to say it's gorgeous and I'm going to plant it up. I'd go for something a bit different, a bit of drama, a bit of theatre, because I'm sure Neil and Jack would quite like that. So I've gone for what is called a mister or a fogger. So it's this little unit, which is low voltage, so it's got a transformer, and it sits in the water and it actually creates fog or mist. And the way it does it is these little ceramic discs vibrate so fast that they make the water molecules vaporise. So you get like a fog. And it's always a good idea to test pumps and features before you put all the cabling in. Now pop that in. Now, when you have it somewhere where it's not breezy, because it's quite breezy here, that mist will build up. So when it's inside the box, I'm hoping that the mist will build up and then tumble over into the cool box with all the beers, because then I think it's going to look real cool. Woo-hoo!
With everything else in place, the bridge can now be lowered carefully into position.
Ooh, lovely indeed.
And the once dreary garden is now a stylish party paradise.
So, 3, 2, 1, open your eyes.
Oh my God.
Wow, look at that.
That is amazing.
Thank you so much.
That is crazy.
And Neil and Jack finally have the low-maintenance social space they dreamed of.
It's just such an amazing transformation.
So happy with it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
That bridge was really cool, especially with the lights. Bit of a fiddle, but really cool.
Yeah, it's quite a nice way just to connect two spaces.
And, I mean, for your favourites, good choice. And there was a couple of mine in there.
Oh, yeah, we're really happy with them all. But also, don't let it go to your head. We're still going to try and win those pictures.
Yeah, it was really nice reminiscing, looking back over those designs and just seeing all the different gardens we've created.
You sound like a granddad.
Help me up now.
Well, we do hope you enjoyed a look back at some of our favourite gardens.
So see you next time for some more Top of the Plots.
Charlie Dimmock,
Boys!
the Rich Brothers, and the Garden Rescue Team have a treat in store.
Too much entertainment.
They have come to the rescue of hundreds of British gardens. Now it's time to look back and pick their favourites.
This looks really cool.
Fabulous.
As they celebrate the very best.
I don't like it.
Huh?
I love it.
From extraordinary eco gardens
Thank you so much.
to exotic designs.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Gardens inspired by people.
Is this the garden that you dreamed of?
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a thumbs up.
And places.
It's the most beautiful garden I've ever been in.
Therapeutic spaces.
Wow.
And the most extraordinary transformations.
Whoa. It is perfect.
Yeah, come on. I want it. Welcome to Garden Rescue.
Top of the plots.
Yep.
Watch out. Whee!
Right, what are we talking about today?
My favourite today, water features.
Oh, yeah.
I love water features, and there are so many of them. Wildlife ponds, lily ponds.
Oh. I have to admit, though, of course, are you ready to bow? The queen of water features.
Mind you two are getting better, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
There was one you did that I loved. Nick and Kath in Blackburn, that Japanesey water feature area.
Yeah, we enjoyed that one.
Yeah. The Japanese are so good at just pulling inspiration from nature, often into small spaces, but this garden was vast, it was big, and there was a lot of stuff going into it.
Yes.
We're proud of all our garden rescue builds, but our first Top of the Plots water feature transformation was for Nick and Kath's garden, which was unloved. So the Rich Brothers design focused around creating a Japanese-inspired pond, complete with a tea house.
The final destination is this tea house, and what we've done here is we've created a kind of solid back with just an open door here. So, you know, with this building as well, is that we've done it so that it overhangs slightly on the pond. So when you're sitting there, you feel that connection with the water.
Yeah. The landscaping team's first job is to remove the old pond from the garden. But before they can get rid of the old pre-formed pond liner, any existing wildlife has to be carefully scooped out. It's down to Andy and the digger to do the heavy lifting and pull the rest of the pond up and then expand and reshape the hole.
Oh, yes. It's not too bad.
While Charlie considers the bomb crater that Andy's created, the brothers are getting excited. The boulders that are crucial to their design are on their way. And they're massive.
They're amazing. Look at them.
Have we got enough garden to fit those rocks
You wait
in?
till you see them all together. Stunning.
Couple on top of each other, be fine. They are amazing. Big old boys, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, we just thought it'd be nice actually bring it into the water. So the level of the water will be about up here, which is just beneath the deck.
Yeah.
And then what we want to do is sink this boulder in so you don't really see the end of it. I think that'd be perfect. It's going to look glorious, isn't it?
So this is going to be a really natural pond, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a good job Andy's got his digger.
It's going to hit the tree though, Andy.
Let's go down as soon as possible. That's all right. It's okay. It's only the weeping bits.
Whilst the boys play with rocks, Charlie lines the pond. And it's ready to be filled.
Gonna put the hose on, but weight it down in the bucket so the bucket will slowly fill up and gently overflow, and hopefully it won't disturb too much of the soil.
While David installs a subframe for the tea house, Charlie cracks on with the pond's planting.
Normally you'd plant water lilies up in containers like this, baskets, but because we want this to look as natural as possible, I'm going to plant them up in a piece of hessian.
First, Charlie gets hessian squares, adds pebbles to weigh the sack down, then adds soil and the plant itself with the crown poking out, then ties it up in a parcel.
And then it's just a case of throwing them in and they'll sink to the bottom, and then the plants themselves can root down in the soil that we've put on the bottom of the pond. It's then a case of gently placing them in the deepest bit of the pond. And the one last thing I've got to do is put some of the wildlife back in the pond that we saved. All the frogs left, but there's 1 or 2 tadpoles in here.
There's a final push to get the Japanese tea house built and fixed into place. But it takes all the lads to assemble the roof.
You go round. My armpit.
Seems a really good idea to build it outside and then carry it in. I'm sure someone is going to end up straight in there.
Oh, not now. You don't fit. Take it back. It might not.
Nice.
All right. Like a clever on the chicken's leg.
Not one of them in the pond. Mind you, they would have been in so much trouble, I tell you now.
Nick and Kath's garden lacked imagination, but Harry and David's design has brought it to life with a beautiful pond, complete with a delicate tea house, where they can watch the sun go down. But will it fulfill their Japanese dream?
Please open your eyes and have a look.
Wow.
What do you think?
It's not our garden.
It's
completely different. Wowzers.
Yeah, in the tea house, and then so here's the new pond.
Oh.
Can you imagine spending some time in
Oh.
here?
Absolutely, yeah. And the pond looks so natural as well.
It's gorgeous.
But it's quite tranquil here, isn't
This
it?
is just.
Do you think it feels zen?
This
Yeah,
is
no, it
very
does
much
look
like
that.
some of the rooms in Japan. It's
it-
perfect.
Thank you, sir.
No worries.
That was one of our absolute faves. Loved that garden. Now, if you want to add a touch of exotic to a pond, then this plant here will do just that. So this is Equisetum japonicum, barred horsetail. As you can see, it's extremely architectural and very exotic. So these tall, firm, hollow uprights that are barred with black, so really striking. And these are great for smaller, shallower ponds. So you want to put these in about 6 inches. You want to make sure that their roots are always moist. And that's really important. And you can see already that adds a really gorgeous look to the pond. So this is going to provide that striking upright growth. I've already got this nice gnarled bit of bog root in here. This is going to be great for any wildlife that gets in or wants to get in. Could also help it crawl out as well. So that's just nicely wedged there on the side, nice and firm, leading down into the water and down onto the ground on this side. Now, just to have a little bit more of a sustainable pond, it's great to put in a little oxygenator as well. Now, this is hornwort.
So you just need to plonk that in. And then also, a great plant to have is something that spreads across the surface of the water. Now, these guys need to be in a slightly sunnier spot. So if it is lighter, you do have the risk of building up quite a lot of algae on the surface. So if you have something like this, bog bean, the roots go down into the water, and then these leaves sit on the surface. And these actually have a gorgeous flower in early summer. It's quite a good idea just to maybe tangle them a little bit in there. Just try and rest it for now. It's probably a bit of a tricky thing. That is going to be really beautiful, really simple, really easy to maintain. Got a gorgeous exotic look with these horsetails, and we'll have some beautiful flowers as well. Now, water features are wonderful to look at, but they can be beautiful features in the garden to actually journey across. A great example of this is Charlie's garden in Shoreham for David and John. Now, they actually wanted to have their wedding reception and photos taken in the garden, so we had to make sure it looked great.
At 100 feet long, this garden had plenty of space, but it was a little boring for John and David's wedding reception. Charlie's winning design for a contemporary water feature was set to change all that.
This section here, which is a shallow pool of water, so I can see your wedding photos there.
The team's first job is to mark out where the water feature will go, but there seems to be an issue.
We've been waiting this morning for a digger to arrive, and it's not arrived yet, and you know, we just have to get on.
Kyle's drawn the short straw.
Looks like we're digging it out then. Great.
Digging out a large area of garden is difficult enough, but when the soil has been baked hard by the sun, it's nothing short of back-breaking. But never fear, the cavalry's here.
Mamma mia!
This has made all the difference with the old digger in here. It's a bit quicker.
With the pond finally dug, Chris cracks on building its walls with cement and concrete blocks. This could, of course, be done with bricks instead.
That level, Kyle? Bang on, mate. That is determining the water level, isn't it?
Yes, water does tend to be level, doesn't it? So we've got the breeze blocks in, but we've got to get those stepping stones in fairly quickly because they've got to walk across it in about 6 hours' time.
Yeah, I know, we're battling the time, I know.
With time of the essence, the pond gets a layer of sand to protect the liner from any sharp stones.
Up and over.
Oh, well, that's a really good place to have a post.
You can pass if you answer the riddle.
Oh, OK.
What gets wetter the more that it dries?
A towel.
Yeah! Come on.
God, dear, you geeks.
Down. Right, next person.
You filled that one up, didn't you?
Well, this is handy. Who put the water feature here? Do you know we are making a rod for our own back here? Well, because we're stopping access to the garden, really,
Oh, well,
aren't
yeah,
we?
absolutely, I know. Nothing much we can do about that.
Who designed this garden? Stupid person. Did you get enough?
Well, it came in this size.
It only came in this size. I don't believe you.
Once the fleece is down, the liner can be put in place, and the team can get on with the next stage of Charlie's design, the stepping stone path. To raise the level of the stones so they appear to float, Kyle's built a platform which he can cement the paving stones onto.
Looking good. Got the stepping stones in. Basically now it's a case of trimming the liner up, which Andy's on now, because the stepping stones have got to go off more before we put water in. Then I've got these gorgeous containers, one for each end, that are going to sit on there. I think they look really modern and trendy, just like us.
With the planters done, adding a touch of floral elegance, the pond is edged in timber, which needs to be cut to the right length.
staging is going on. We're being cut, made to measure, lovely green oak. Because I like the romance of the oak with the romance of the billowing flowers, and then you've got the modern, clean lines of the paving that brings the whole garden sort of together. I'm just popping in the 2 pumps, solar-powered pumps.
John and David's sunny South Coast garden is ideal for a solar-powered pump.
Do you want to walk over, yeah?
No. You can walk there, there, and there, and not on those. Do not get this wrong. At your peril, sunshine.
Oh, no, it's like a mermaid trying to grab my ankles from inside the water.
Ah! No, more like a troll. Trip, trap, who's that crossing my bridge?
Whilst everyone's busy finishing their jobs, the pond has been filling with water, and the new garden is finished. It was a long, plain garden not fit for a wedding reception, but it's been transformed into this contemporary space with its centrepiece water feature. But will the happy couple fall in love with it?
Would you like to open your eyes?
Oh my God. Blooming heck. Excellent. We're definitely going to have the reception in the garden. Absolutely gorgeous.
There's something about water in a garden, the sound of it, that really sets an atmosphere. And moving water is created by using recirculating pumps. These are all recirculating pumps. That means the water that's in the pond is just being pumped round and round. It's not a water supply to the pond. So it's very eco-friendly. And there's lots on the market now. You've got solar-powered pumps. They're great because you don't have to worry about running electric. You've got a solar panel, and then the pump sits in the water, and you get all the little bits in the box for a fountain or a bubble of water and a spike, so that the solar panel can just be put in position to catch as much sun as possible. And there are some on the market that have a backup battery, so the panel charges the battery up, so if the sun goes in, the pump still works. Then you've got your basic water pumps like this, and again, they all come with a kit for a fountain, a tea piece, all the things that you need, and they nearly always have 10 metres of cable on them. And there are now what are called eco pumps, and these are bigger pumps that don't use as much electric. So they're quite easy to install, both these, but you do need to get an electrician to do the joining up to your main supply. One thing I'll say, before you buy the pump, make sure you know exactly what you need, whether you want a pump for a fountain or a waterfall or a filtration system, because the size of the pump will be influenced by what you want to do. So make sure you do your homework first before making a purchase. Now, David and John's garden, their water feature was quite formal. Anne and Sean in Lip Hook wanted a much more natural feel.
Catch.
Our next water feature top of the plots was for Anne and Sean's somewhat rough and ready garden, which had remained unchanged for 17 years. The couple wanted a new space for their daughter Joanne to enjoy.
She quite enjoys her nature, so if we can get more butterflies or other wildlife that Jo can take an interest in, that would be lovely.
So the Rich Brothers design focused on attracting plenty of wildlife to the garden with a large pond. And the first job for Charlie is to start digging. But already there's a change of plan.
The pond has actually ended up moving from David and Harry's original design, which it was right up in the corner there. Now, it had to move because underneath the Wendy house, there was like 4 inches of concrete. So digging a pond there, not ideal. But I am really pleased that it's moved, because these overhanging trees, the sweet chestnut, having a pond right underneath wouldn't have been good. So moving it out has a positive effect, no leaves in the pond, but also means there's more sunlight for it. Ideally, when you're positioning a pond, you want to end up with about at least 6 hours of sunlight a day to make the pond balance and grow properly.
There's a huge amount of soil to remove. But Charlie's not work shy. And she's certainly doing better than Harry.
Can Looking good, Harry. Good trench digging.
Oh, traminal.
Excuse me, no moaning. Look at the size of this compared to that little trench.
It's too big, actually. Let's...
Yeah.
Did you play badminton in school?
Baseball.
Hockey, actually. Goalie.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Don't mess.
Right, come on, boys.
You need a few hands, yeah?
I do need some hands. Get this liner in. That angle that way.
Watch, don't drag it too much. I've got a bit of a rootage here. Which way, sorry? Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness me. I said that point that way. You were on the wind-up, you two, aren't you?
Yeah. So when we get there.
That's it.
That's the money shot.
That's the one. Now all we've got to do is fill it.
Easy.
Yeah, buckets. I'm afraid there's no hose.
No. Big buckets.
Well, it depends on how strong you're feeling.
How long and thin and bendy is the bucket? Similar to a hose pipe?
Hopefully we got a hose pipe.
Yeah.
And lucky for them, there is one.
OK, Dean, just turn it on, mate. There we go. It's going to take quite a while to fill up, I feel.
You want a cup of tea there, Charlie, as well?
Yeah, I could just sit and watch it fill up, no, after all that digging I've done.
The pond fills up in no time with a little help from Mother Nature. And Charlie makes light work of cutting the liner to shape. The designers may not be able to control the weather, but some things can be pre-arranged. In this case, a ready-made wildflower meadow.
It's gorgeous stuff, this meadow turf, boys, I have to say.
Oh, you've got a good one there.
Yeah, look at those leucanthemums and dianthus. This way, stop wafting it around on the edge of the pond.
Just wafting away far. Oh, that's nice.
It will naturally edge the pond, and we've got, I mean, things like this Lychnis or ragged robin, that is naturally a bog plant.
Yeah, that'll thrive here.
Achillea. So it's a really lovely way to edge a pond, especially a wildlife pond, because it means that things can get in and out very easily, and it's actually way easier than trying to edge it with stones or paving or something like that.
As well as encouraging wildlife, pre-grown meadow turf is a great way to inject instant colour, just what Anne and Sean are after to brighten up their garden.
You can already see things like this oxeye daisy, they're really brightening up this back corner. And things like this are going to be flowering from spring to autumn, so it's going to provide your garden with loads of interest for very low maintenance.
The pond's surrounded by meadow turf, but it needs planting out too.
When it comes to planting up a pond, whether it's just a wildlife pond or whether it's an ornamental pond, there's three key groups of plants. You have ones that lay on the surface of the water, so water lilies normally, which cut the sunlight out, so help keep the water clear. Oxygenators that aren't overly beautiful but do a really good job in the pond by putting oxygen in, but also they use up lots of nutrients, so help keep it clear. And then you've got what are called the emergent or the marginal plants. So they sit in the water, but their foliage comes up and out of the water. This is what is most people call bulrushes, but they're not really. They're greater reed mace. Now, the thing about them is they're really vigorous and will swamp a pond this size. So I'm going to contain them a bit like you would if you're planting mint in the garden. So by putting these in a solid pot, it's going to stop the runners from coming out and taking over the pond. I've just got a bit of garden soil and we're going to jam those in there. Squishy, squishy. And then put a good layer of gravel on the top.
With the incredible pond complete and some final planting done, the team have finished. It was an uninspiring garden, but the Rich brothers have now created a versatile space with a water feature for not only the wildlife, but Anne, Sean and Joanne to enjoy.
Open your eyes on. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
What do you reckon, Joe?
You know what? I don't like it.
Huh?
I love it.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Crikey, give us a heart.
That was certainly a lovely pond, and I'm sure Joanne spends lots of time sunbathing, laying in the meadow grass, looking at all the wildlife buzzing around and swimming about.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of digging for you there, wasn't it?
It was, and I'm never going to forget it, you two. I'm telling you now.
Well, it's, when you're dreaming up ideas like that, it's really important to think of safety first. Always have that hat on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really important, especially for the children.
Do you remember in Cardiff the way I child-proofed the water feature?
Very snazzy.
It was a contemporary pond for a couple who had young children, so it had to not only look good, but also, more importantly, be safe.
The pond, or should I say the reflective pool, is looking fabulous with the slabs right the way up to the edge. But one thing that we do have to consider is Nadine and Steve have got two very, very young children. So to make it safe for them, we've got this grid system, which is great. It slots together and you can adjust the depth of it because these slide into here and you cut the pipe to the depth that you want. So what you're aiming for is 1 nail's depth of water above the grid, so it makes it safe for the children, but you can't see it and you've still got your reflective pool of water.
Great tip, that, Charlie.
It goes to show you can have water in a garden, you just need to be practical and sensible about how you're using it.
On a less sensible note, what about that garden we did for Andrew and Laura in Bradley Stoke?
What do you mean less sensible?
Quirky.
Yeah, those watering cans, they were quirky.
You know I like my quirky water features.
Andrew and Laura's front garden was an overgrown jungle. So Charlie's daring design featured a raised bed containing a pond and bog garden with an unconventional use for some watering cans.
Thinking about all the water that you're wasting off your roof, you've got a downpipe from the roof here, from the gutter. So I want to use some watering cans that will be on posts. So one will roll into one, into the next, and into the pond. So when it rains, you'll see the water run down.
Lovely. With the garden cleared of foliage, the team begin building the frame for the raised bed.
We've chosen to use scaffold boards to build this raised pond, nature pond. Carl's doing all these interesting angle cuts, which are always quite challenging. But he's keeping his air on it, you can't?
Just about.
Just about.
But it's Andy who needs to keep his hair on, as the boss is about to rock the boat.
And I'm now going to go and upset Andy, because I want to move the main feature. This lovely raised bed, lovely shape, but there we go. Because I'm thinking that space up there is sort of a dead area. So I'm thinking that we hoik this that way a bit, bring the stumpery this way, and maybe put the seat on this side.
Do you know what we did, Charlie?
What did you do?
We built it so that we could move it, because we knew that you would.
You're going to have to help us, it's quite heavy.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What? Boys, we need your muscles.
Oh, no.
Oh!
Many hands.
Watch the edge, watch the edge.
The edge of what?
To me, to you.
Good. That's parallel perfectly with the slabs.
Anyone would think someone designed it so it would match. It's the paving, Charlie.
Oh, danger.
Right, that's looking good. So if we get sand in the bottom, so basically the middle section is going to be mini pond and bog garden.
Yeah.
The other end's pretty planting.
Yeah, OK.
The base is filled with sand to get rid of any sharp edges.
Are we tipping it?
Yes, tip it.
I thought you were putting it. Sort of spread that about. And then I'll go and get the liner, which I've got warming up on top of the car. If you warm it up, it goes nice and stretchy.
And the liner is fitted to create a seal to contain the bog garden. It will be filled with water-loving plants. As such, the ground needs to be kept wet.
Oh, yes!
Lovely.
Yes.
Charlie is using a black bin to create the pond, which, when fed by the cascading watering cans, will keep the surrounding soil moist.
So you fill it up?
Right, just need to fill it up.
You get the hose. Don't point that at me. You did that on purpose.
No, I didn't. Would I do something like that?
I don't know. It's a fun day, isn't it? I'll remember it's filling up.
As the pond fills, Harry tops up the bed with soil and the construction of the 2 trough planters gets underway. These will create a backdrop and act as shelves to grow a variety of plants. But with Charlie's exacting standards, positioning them is no easy task.
Right, Charlie.
Where are you going? Right, let's do the bottom one first. How much have you got hanging over that way? I can't see, Chris, your beautiful body.
It's my tummy, this kid.
Can you take it towards Chris a little, putty-pur? And about Chris's, height, so level will be a wonderful thing.
So bossy. That looks pretty good to me.
So can I actually, not being funny, can I actually see it now? That looks lovely.
Nice. Quickly, let's put it in.
Throw it in before she changes her mind.
Having pleased the boss, Harry fills the planters with soil. And it's time for Charlie to get to grips with her pièce de résistance, the water feature.
So the concept is, we've got a down pipe there, around the corner, which comes off the roof. And it's going to fill up one watering can and run into the next watering can, to run into the next watering, to run into the next watering can. So they'll sit like that. So if Laura wants to water, she's got a pre-filled watering can and off she goes, waters, and then pops it back, ready for the next downpour of rain. So much prettier than a water butt.
Each watering can will need to be positioned precisely for the water to cascade into the one below.
That one's there then.
That work all right?
We're soon going to find out, aren't we? Where's the hose? Right, for you. Right, that's fine. We can always play with that one. Right, next. Ideal.
Shall I move it around a bit like that?
No, I quite like it like that. Like that, looks great. Looks all right, doesn't it?
I like it, I really like it. I like the gold, it's beautiful.
With the watering cans in place, Charlie cracks on with the planting.
People think when you're trying to attract wildlife into the garden that you've got to have all natives. Natives are great, but the problem is a lot of natives are really vigorous and need a lot of space, and this is a tiny garden. So we've chosen natives that are maybe a little bit more calm. So things like lythrum, foxgloves, they're not going to take over. They will self-seed in this bog garden area, but then we've mixed it in with some fun plants. Who can't like that? Juncus effusus spiralis, spiral reed. Look at that, and it just naturally grows like that. Looks fabulous. What you will find is over time, it starts growing just straight ones. If you want to get the curl back, the best thing to do is lift it, divide it, and then you'll get the spirals back.
After some final planting, the garden's finished. Andrew and Laura's front garden was an overgrown mess. But it's been transformed into a wildlife-friendly paradise, complete with its unusual watering can feature. But what will the couple think?
Would you like to open your eyes?
Oh my goodness! It's
Wowza.
amazing!
I'm not sure I should say it, Charlie, but it's so much nicer than I was expecting.
Have you been talking to the boys? Well, that water feature certainly turned out quite bespoke with the watering cans, and it's quite easy to do yourself. You just need to think about what you could use on the top of the water feature for the water to flow out of. So you've basically got a reservoir with your pump in it, and then you'll have a piece of hose that sticks onto the pump and then runs to whatever feature you want. You could use something like roofing tiles, where the water runs down and you can have several linked together. You could even use a teapot like this where you drill it and the water will come out, a bit like the watering cans. Just bear in mind when you drill ceramics, you want to use a nice sharp tile drill, and it's definitely worth putting on a piece of insulating tape before you start drilling so that the drill bit doesn't slip. I mean, you can get these at the charity shop, quite cheap and cheerful. So definitely worth a go, makes it quite quirky. Or if you're feeling arty, how about using some lead, cutting some leaves? It's nice and malleable, so it's easy to sort of position. or just a beautiful bit of bogwood drilled with the water bubbling over. Very natural effect. So a bit wacky, a bit different, which is always fun, and we've always had lots of fun with our water features, especially the boys.
And now's the time to avert your eyes if you don't want to see the Rich brothers in a hot tub back in Hucknall.
Now, boys, I think you've done a really sterling job today. You've worked ever so hard, so I've got a little present for you both.
Gosh, what is it? How did you know it's my favourite colour?
Swimmies.
Why
So
did you
you
get
can
extra large, Charlie? I'm more of a
You
small.
said you were going in.
I actually really like these.
Well, get in there, boy.
All right, fair enough.
You
Give me
came
5
extra
seconds.
small, you knew, didn't you?
Pegs.
Assume start position and jump.
You won't be laughing that much when you're in. I can smell the lavender. I feel private with the bushes. I'm overthinking about the cold.
Well done. Just to let you know, although it is a hot tub, we only filled it up this afternoon, so it's a cold tub.
Oh, did ya? Did ya?
Oh, that'll teach me, won't it? I knew you loved those shorts way more than you said.
Ah, the truth is out.
You squirreled them away, didn't you?
They come out for special occasions. Do you like them?
I think they're good. Not quite sure about the boots with it,
Oh,
though.
come on. Keep the feet warm. All right then, Charlie, what was your favourite watery garden?
Has to be the one in Newport for Deep.
Our last top of the plot's water feature transformation was in Deep's small back garden. She wanted a tranquil space to unwind in, so Charlie's incredible design featured a 3-tiered cascading pond made with steel troughs.
And then there's going to be 3 tiers that drop down, ever so gentle, so it's not going to be like Niagara Falls.
No.
Gentle, soft drops, and you'll get that soft, gentle sound of the water dropping down, which will also be great for the birds because the birds will come in and bathe in it.
And the landscaping team certainly have their work cut out creating this impressive retreat.
Right, guys. This is all about the water feature by the look of it.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of digging out to do.
Hope you've had a good breakfast.
I
Full
saw
English.
him.
This is my
I
secret
saw
weapon,
him.
what I've brought today. Look at these guns here,
Yeah,
look.
he's the brawn.
Yeah, and are you
we're
the brains?
no.
Well,
Shall we get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
First job is to cut into the patio to create a base for the start of the waterfall. And the boys need to check the steel troughs will fit.
Let's see if we've cut this right. Let's see if you've cut this right. Oh! Oh, like a glove on a chicken's lip. Oh, that looks pretty ace, mate.
Charlie's chosen natural stone to surround the water feature. And it'll need to be carefully placed to achieve the right look.
So it's flush to that, and then you see that edge like that, rather than it going like that. So you keep that nice, straight line. Charlie's commissioned these lovely stainless steel troughs that we've had made up in Derbyshire. They're very expensive. They've taken quite a lot of the budget up, but they're going to have such a massive impact in the garden. Now, if we get it right, the dry stone and the crisp stainless steel should look fantastic together.
But as the team construct a stone base for the troughs and bed in a hose pipe to supply water, they encounter a problem.
Measure the total. It's only 370. So you got like you're going to have 240 water, aren't you? Yeah, that's shallow.
If they're going to fit in a waterfall cascading into the pond, they're going to have to dig deeper.
We might have to get picking, mate.
This is now
That's it, go on.
the new
Go on.
improved pond. It's not Andy getting smaller.
Can't get any much smaller.
We've dug it deeper.
Right.
Finally, happy with the depth, the troughs are bedded into position and the pool liner can be fitted.
It's not bad, is it?
And Charlie's happy with the progress too.
We got this very modern feel to it, but then once we progress into the garden, it goes into the more oldie worldy. So we're using this gorgeous golden dry stone walling round it to soften the edges, and then come round here and we're going to create a lovely little meditation zone because it's quite enclosed with the planting as it is. She's got the pool of water, the sun rises up over there into the east, a nice bench, somewhere just to come and sit and relax. Andy's busy on the water feature, but first things first. So Andy, I guess you want me to do something about that bay tree?
Yeah, Charlie, if you could do your magic on it.
Yeah, it's right in the way for you, so that's my first job.
With Charlie busy pruning the big bay tree, Andy has finished positioning the pond liner and it's ready for water.
Right, I think while my pond fills up, I might go and paint the shed.
Do you know how a paintbrush works?
Well, there's a first time for everything.
Oh my. I am getting a few leaves in there, but I'll get David or Harry to get in there and scoop them out.
And while the dry stone wall is built around the pond, out front, David has got an important task ahead.
So I've got free rein to make a little bit of sculpture within the garden. And I've got these paddle stones to create it out of. Now, Charlie loves the idea of it levitating. And obviously with stones like this, you imagine them on beaches or the tops of mountains where people have just piled the stones on top of each other. Now that looks lovely, but I'd love to over-exaggerate this idea of balance and actually create something that almost fools and tricks the eye. So the way I'm going to do that is actually put fixings into each stone and attach them together like that, so you can't, or hopefully can't, see any fixing at all.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one. It's going to take a bit of time.
And once the stones are drilled, David attaches them with screws and glue.
Is this going to work, you think, Dave?
It looks like you're having a really sort of strange arm wrestling, and you've like been there so long.
This is called mind wrestling.
Mind balancing.
Mind wrestling.
Am I winning?
No, never.
Right, we're going to let go on.
All right.
On what, 3?
You go first.
1, 2, 3. Never in doubt.
With David's stone sculpture in place and a collective team push to get the garden finished.
Let's all go. Gravel's coming in, wheelbarrows zooming backwards and forwards, but we're getting there.
The incredible 3-tiered water feature is done, complete with its cascading water and meditative seating area. Deep's small garden was rather uninspiring, but it's been transformed into a calming place to relax in. Time for its grand unveiling.
Open your eyes.
Okay. Oh my God, what have you done this? This is really nice. Wow, this is amazing. Wow, this is beautiful, really beautiful.
How do you feel about the sound of the water?
I really love it.
What a reaction from Deep.
Yeah, I think it was mainly focused around those balancing pebbles, though.
No, come along. There was loads going on in that garden. Another one of my gardens full of lots and lots. But I don't care what anyone says. You put water in a garden and it totally changes the whole garden. Makes it really ba-ba-boom.
Oh, it does.
Charlie would say that, wouldn't
Yeah.
she? Of course she would.